This meeting is being live streamed. I'm going to mute myself. Okay, I unmuted myself, and I muted the live stream. Can someone check in on YouTube, see if they can see that it's working? Yep, there we are. And we still should wait for a couple more people here. We're missing, I think, Gary. Who else are we missing?
I think Mike Atwell might be joining us tonight.
Yes, Mike Atwell, you're absolutely right. He sent me an email, excited. Let's see who else we got here. There's Gary. Who else? Hello. Hey. Jim M. And just Mike Atwell is the missing link. All right. Hey, that's Bob. Okay, I put a message on the YouTube chat for anybody to feel free to ask questions. So if I miss something and someone's monitoring it, make sure you mute it, but feel free to answer any questions. And I hesitate to start without Mike. He was so excited. Anyway, I have to thank you guys again for convincing me to get that new camera. I'm really loving it. I started making myself a flat box. Show you back here. I could put on my telescope. So I glued these four together. There's a semi-opaque, you can see acrylic panel in here. There's only, right now we only have one, but there are spaces in here for several of them at varying distances apart, so that I don't want to turn it now, but when it's glued together and everything's steady, that I could put this on top of my dew shield or the telescope and just about point in any direction and get evenly illuminated frames. If during the day, and the thing is, I have the EL panel. I suppose I could attach it to that, but I always put it on top of the dew shield very, very precariously. I'm just waiting for one day when it's really windy that thing will go flying. So Tom is all staticky over there. There he goes.
Hey, Lou.
Yeah.
What was the purpose of that box that you just showed us?
The box is to keep it on my so I can put several different baffles
Which do what?
to diffuse the light.
Okay.
So I have
Steve, it's for making flat field images.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Got
it's
it.
for making flat field images.
inside.
Calibration.
Yeah,
That's
inside
right, exactly.
I have these panels at varying different distances apart. I may not use all of them.
Okay.
And that way, if if a bird flies across, if you use one, the bird might mess it up. But if you have like 3 or 4 of these, it's going to be diffuse enough that you
Okay.
probably don't even have to repoint it. You could probably have the telescope pointed in any direction. It just makes it more convenient in the observatory just to have that. You know, what I noticed too, the other night I was trying to get flats right after a night of imaging, and it was really, really dewy. And, you know, I pointed the telescope straight up and put my step ladder next to it. And, you know, it was slippery. You know, I have to hold one hand onto the step ladder, you know, hold the EL panel, and then, you know, you got to try to juggle all that without slipping at 4 a.m. You know, the next day, then my wife would find me with it cracked open and blood everywhere. I didn't want that. So, yeah.
Yeah,
And-
just have a mess to clean up.
Yeah, what a mess. So I'm still not done making this. I have to finish attaching these. But pretty simple to make from materials at Michael's. You can get the semi-acrylic panels from Amazon. I just typed in 40% or 50% opaque. Even if you get to 10% opaque, if you're during the daytime, it's bright enough. You know, or you can put you can even put incandescent light bulb if you have enough of those. But is everybody here then?
Lou, I sent Mike a text. So,
Oh, we're still waiting for Mike.
yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't get a response from him, so.
He sent me an email telling me how excited he was. So I hope he didn't forget. I sent a reminder. I'm assuming you all got the reminder about the
Yeah.
meeting.
I just
Yeah.
texted him a second ago, so.
Yeah, okay. Is there anything specific that anybody wants to cover tonight? I do want to see your images. If you have any to share. All right, who has images they want to share? I'll write this down so I don't.
I've got zip. I just got set up for roto guiding and whatnot the past couple of weeks, so I'm playing around with that. And in fact, I got it running right now.
Do you have any pictures you want to show us?
I have nothing. I've got data. I have not had a chance to even get into fixing sites since the last
right.
time we got together.
All right, we'll see if we can change that. Steve, how about you? You have anything you want to show us?
No, I wasn't really prepared for that, but if we're gonna do that as a regular thing, I'll think about that next time.
Yeah, it's always good to show off your stuff, and
Yeah,
know,
I have a bunch of stuff that I'm going to start working on, but I haven't done anything yet.
okay. How about Doug? Do you have anything? I think you took something recently you put on Facebook.
Well, I just got a, like I said on Facebook, I've been just imaging through a refractor or a camera lens, and I got a C6
Right.
recently. So I've been playing with that, and it's been very well behaved. I heard all the stories about how frightening reflecting telescopes were, and how they were going to hurt me. And I was going to get mirror flop, and they were going to expand and contract. And I haven't had mine says not. I have not had any problem with it.
All right. Well, you have pictures you want to show us?
I'll have to hunt around on my box. I did the only other thing I've done with it is that, I did the first thing I guess you ever do when you have a long focal length telescope is run out and take a picture of the moon.
Right.
So I did that. So I did that last week. I took a picture of Copernicus.
The crater.
The crater. I can hunt around and look for that. I mean, it wasn't really serious. I was just going to go out. I just went out to the baseball park in Narberth to do it.
That's like your favorite place to go, isn't it?
Not really, but I seem to be on good terms with the police. They don't kick me out of there.
You're always welcome here.
Yeah, I know. And I went up to I was up at Hickory Run. Oh, but my question was, since I don't have, I don't have any kind of observatory or the prospect of having one. I just live my backyard's a postage stamp. I live close to the city. For those of you who do imaging, go out and do imaging, it's not so bad in summertime, but what do you do to amuse yourself in the winter? If you're out there imaging and
Amuse?
like I think, like I think I'm married, like I can tell you all about the BBC. I think I'm married to Razia Iqbal on the BBC. Because I just listen to the radio.
You listen to the radio, I see. Yeah, but I remember my biggest thing to amuse myself was trying to find ways to stay warm in the wintertime. And I remember that one of our club members, Kevin Kelm, he had this propane heater, which I loved a little bit too much. We were over at, where were we? The Game Lands. And my jeans caught on fire. Fortunately, I was able to tap them out before the flames. But it felt good. It felt good.
What did you do? Sit on it?
No, I was standing right next to it. Well, it's too close. I mean, it got hot, it just singed it a little bit, but they were toasty, felt like they came out of the dryer for about like 3 minutes. And then it was all over after that. I didn't want to reburn them. But you know what? Maybe we could, I just got some Duluth pants that have the inner liner in them with fleece. They're nice and warm. I was gonna ask my wife if she can like sew in, some kind of heating strip that we can plug in to like a battery or something. Then my luck, I'll shock myself when I go pee. But
I don't have any of those worries. I can sit inside my van and do everything wirelessly and take my generator with me.
yeah, that's why I like having my observatory. It comes in handy. How about you, Joe? Do you have any images you want to share? You're muted.
My wife is holding a book club upstairs, so I apologize. I had it on mute. And they usually discuss something like very vague, like Kafka or some really. He said, "Do you guys ever do any self-help books?" I'm like, self-help books, it's always something where everybody dies at the end. Very sad. But, Gary and I,
Suicide help? What?
it's twisted plots, and there's always a Russian, and it's but Gary and I were out at Frank's and a couple of weeks ago, and Gary got a beautiful shot of Perseus A and one of the Able clusters, and we both shot it, and Gary posted his a couple of weeks ago. I didn't get mine really worked on until a couple of days ago. In fact, I promised Gary a copy, and I didn't even get it to him yet. But I have a couple shots if you want to take a look from up there.
I'm actually very upset about it, Joe.
I'm sorry?
I'm very upset about that. You did promise, and you usually don't break promises to me.
So let me see if I can.
I don't know if you're mad at me. I don't know what's going on.
Let me see.
What did you say, Gary, to make him mad?
I know. I don't know. I'm racking my brain trying to figure out what I did wrong.
Yeah, my screen sharing is disabled by the host.
Yeah. I was planning on sharing all that stuff at the end, but let me make you guys, now that you reminded me.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah, I was gonna plan on sharing our images at the end, but if you want to share now while we're waiting, that'll be a good idea. Gary, you have something, and Tom, you gotta have images.
I have some stuff. Yeah. Well,
Go ahead, Gary.
Joe's getting ready to share his.
Yeah, Joe, you should be able
Can you
to.
guys see this?
Not yet.
No. Huh.
I see Tom. Are you trying to share an image of the moon?
No, I have a problem where for some reason my background is up, but my camera is not broadcasting. I never had this problem before on Zoom. I have my the camera block opened up, so it's all good. But for some reason, I'm not there. And I restarted it, Zoom again. It's still not there. So I'm not
Did you do
intentionally.
Alt? Did you try
being-
Alt N?
Did I try what?
Alt plus N?
No, I will though. Alt
How about
Plus.
now?
Oh,
Yeah, Joe,
Alt
I
N.
can see it now.
Oh, I'm up. Very good. Thanks, Lou.
Sure.
It's so Gary and I both shot this one Able cluster galaxy that has Perseus A in it, and I was kind of interested in it because it was on one of the was it page A16 in the atlas, and it looked like a pretty compact cluster, and it's actually I looked it up. It's a very massive structure in the sky. So Gary and I both imaged it, and Gary's was beautiful. This is my my version of it. This is just the wide field shot of it, and that's it a little closer. And these galaxies are all about 240 million light years, and there's a bunch of them in there. I don't know if you can see them or not, but there's a bunch. That's a little bit of an enlargement of the center portion. And I just annotated a couple of the brighter ones in the middle of the field. But it's a several degree wide field, and it's really kind of an interesting spot. So
Yeah, I was amazed how many, that's a great shot, Joe. I was amazed how many galaxies were there. Even with, I shot it relatively narrow field, about 0.95 degrees. So
right.
a degree wide and 0.65 or so.
Yeah.
And I was amazed when I ran the annotation script in PixInsight. I mean, there were probably 50 galaxies came up just running that, and if you zoomed in, you could still find some other ones. It was tiny little spot of sky, patch of sky, were just it like felt like, you know, I'm speculating, but what they must have felt like when they looked at the Hubble Deep Field, you know, the first Hubble Deep Field, where you just like, wait a minute, where'd all this shit come from?
Yeah, it's really quite interesting, you know, and you know, now's really a great time for that, you know, scattered throughout Andromeda and all these different places. Boy, there's so many of these little clusters, you know. And this was kind of my introduction into these. So I hope to be doing a couple more, maybe, if we ever get a chance to get back up there. That was really a great night, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a really good night. I wound up going back up on Saturday night because
yeah, I know. I know. You're an Iron Man.
I actually brought 2 OTAs with me to do some wide field and then some narrow field. But when I was leaving the house, I was probably 10 minutes from the house, getting ready to get onto the Northeast Extension in like Lansdale. And I realized that I'm thinking, you know, I never grabbed my focuser for my SCT. I think the focuser's sitting in the cabinet still, because I had to arrange some things recently to just kind of pare it down for a different outing. Yeah. And I thought, fine, just shoot wide field. So I did that the first night with the TV 101, and then Saturday was going to be a really nice night, and I wound up going back with the with the focuser this time and my C9.25, and that's when I took Joe's lead and I shot that galaxy cluster. I could show those if you want. I have a couple of shots from that outing.
Yeah.
Are you finished, Joe? You have other stuff?
I have 2 more.
Yeah. Please do.
This is actually one of them. This is 891. And I shot this and the other one on the same rig.
Oh, wow.
That's a little bit of an enlargement.
That's great.
Ooh, nice. Nice detail in it.
That is a great galaxy, isn't it?
That's beautiful.
You know, it's a relatively short focal length, and I'm not sure that it really does it justice, you know, but it's a beautiful galaxy, you know, and relatively bright, you know, and I kind of enjoyed that. And then I'm sorry.
No, even zoomed in, it's really nice detail and nice star color.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you, thank you. That
thank you.
that might be my next attempt. So thanks for bringing that to our attention.
That's 891.
Yeah.
891,
Yeah.
yeah. And this was the final shot. I took this with that 200mm lens and a tracker. I took a couple shots with the tracker. I always make the same mistake, you know. I put the lens out and the temperature's falling really rapidly, you know, and I focus and within an hour it's totally out of focus. So there were a couple of objects that it hadn't cooled down enough, you know. I always put the tracker out last, and I should really put the lens out earlier, you know, because it's warm in the car, and I kind of lose focus until it reaches ambient, you know. But this is the one shot that I did get.
That's really nice.
Thanks. Just a 200mm
Joe.
shot.
Oh, Joe, I have that lens.
Do you?
Yeah, I have the 200 the f2.8 200mm prime
Yeah.
lens.
Yeah. I
It's
love that
nice,
one.
isn't it? It's
It's a
really
wonderful
nice, isn't it?
lens. I stopped it down a little bit for this, but I've shot it wide open, and I don't really see much of a difference. You know, it's
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. If there's
Yeah. It's my favorite lens. It really is. It's beautiful. It's right in the sweet spot,
Yeah.
I think, you know. This is a little bit cropped from the original, but
yeah. Last summer I got a picture. I can mount my ZWO on the lens, and I got a picture of the whole Cygnus loop with the lens.
yeah, it's a great shot. This is with a 6D. But I've also shot it with the ZWO on that, you know. But I'll tell you, I mean, more and more, like when I compare the two, you know, the ZWO is just so much nicer. I mean, so much less noise. I mean, this is with, you know, 40 flats and I don't know, a whole bunch of darks and everything that I could to try to reduce the noise. But when you look at raw versus raw images, I mean, the ZWL images are just so smooth. It's almost like you don't even have to calibrate them. You know, they're that good. But that was the last shot. So this is really all I have. But
Beautiful, beautiful.
thank you.
Joe, can you go back to that the 891?
Yeah, sure. That the wide field version.
Yeah. Let me see that wide field one. That I was just trying to get the so that, and this is with the RASA.
Yes, it's with the RASA.
So this is a couple degrees wide.
Yeah, with the 2600, I generally get like about 2 degrees with that on the long side, you know.
Right. That's nice. Yeah, I like that. I was trying to get a sense of it. If I shot it with the 9 1/4, I'd be about half of that field, which would frame it. That would frame it nicely.
It probably would frame it better, I think, than this. I mean, this is really a pretty wide field. That's a pretty small crop of the field.
Yeah, it's nice though. It's nice seeing the stuff in context too. I always like that. Like, I mean, a lot of times you're forced to shoot stuff close because the object's just big compared to what, you know, scope you're using. But it's also nice to have that space around it too.
The island universe kind of look, you know.
Yeah.
But
Very nice.
thank you.
Joe always has beautiful pictures.
I can show a couple from that same outing, and then from going back Saturday with the 9 1/4.
Yeah, you got that phenomenal shot of the horse head and the flame.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That was a beauty.
we got to talk about that one.
That was a showstopper.
Yeah, that is amazing.
So this is that same cluster. Can you guys see that?
Can you blow it up?
Yeah, let me see. So
We see your Explorer window.
you don't see so stop sharing.
We see I guess, nine deep sky images in your finished
Oh,
astro
that's all
picture.
you're seeing, just the
You got-
folder?
Yeah. you
Yeah,
got
so you're,
full-
if you can
full
click on
size.
the,
So why doesn't it show? So if I share, so I guess I can't share within that folder. Let me just try sharing this. Hold on.
if you open it up first and just click on that, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I did. I'll just do each individual image. Let me just do the images, and I might have to open them and then share. Yeah, so if I open that image, you don't see that opened image.
Technology is great.
Okay, let me
Monitor if you have.
just do it that way. I'll just
Yes.
I'll just open the image and I'll just share that image.
Do you have more than one monitor?
Not on this, not on this. I don't. I'm on my laptop right now. Oh wait, it said hit control.
There we go.
There.
We got it now, Gary.
Look at all those
Okay.
galaxies.
So this is that same. Oops. Oh, did it? Oh, is it changing for you?
Yeah,
Oh, perfect. Okay, so let me. Come on. I got to get over to the other arrow. Hold on. It's behind the controls. Here we go. So let me get back to that. So that's that Perseus galaxy cluster, that Abell 426. Oh, I should have thrown the annotated one in here. I think I did that in the post, but if you zoom in here, there's just galaxies everywhere. All these oblong things here.
there's a tribute.
What was that?
Coming. Like even these little smudges here.
Oh, yeah.
Really distant galaxies. These guys here.
What's the size of your field of view in that image, Gary?
It's a little less than a degree. It's 0.95 by like 0.68, something like that, or 0.65. This is shot with a C9.25 with a 0.63x focal reducer field flattener. I was getting well, besides having the faster f ratio and the wider field, it helped a lot in terms of the corner stars, getting those rounder, get rid of coma. I was getting a lot of coma earlier without the field flattener. The center stars are pretty good, and the quarter stars were much more flare in them, with before using that. It's one of the Star Arizona focal reducers. So I'm really happy with that. I had to wait for it for quite a while to come in, like about 2 months. They were back ordered. Now I think they're in stock. But I was really happy with that. This is about 2 hours of exposure. It's 125 minutes of exposure.
Beautiful, Gary. Just
Thank you.
beautiful.
Very nice.
The night I was up there with Joe, this was the night I forgot the focuser for the 9.25. I had my TV 101, so I shot that prime focus with the ASI 2600, and the Sol Nebula IC 1848 just fit in that field of view. This is
Yeah, it's nicely.
Perfectly
this is
fine.
uncropped,
nice.
and this really needs more data. This is a really faint nebula. This is shot with no filter other than just the glass window that's on the camera. This is at Frank's, and this is only 45 minutes. This is 15 3-minute subs. So this really begs for more data. But it was getting late, and I had a couple other things that I wanted to do. But even this, yeah. So this is around midnight, and I had a couple other shots I wanted to take, including like before the end of the night, I decided to swing over to the Flame and Horsehead, because I wasn't able to get that last year because I had some equipment issues. Besides new equipment, I had some tracking problems with my old mount, with the grease needing to be replaced, and then I replaced the grease, and then it was tracking worse. So I wound up losing the season. So I shot. Oh, that's all I say. I also shot the North America. This is 108 minutes. This again could use more data, but this is how it framed in the TV 101.
Yeah, it's nicely framed.
Yeah,
Me too.
it's 100 minutes with, that's pretty impressive. The 2600 camera, that's pretty.
Yeah, and it's
impressive.
smooth. I mean, when you zoom in, there's some noise reduction on it in fix and sight, that easy denoise. But I'm surprised how, like Joe was saying, how good that camera is. It's relatively smooth. Even the background stuff, even this faint stuff.
Did
It's
you,
pretty darn good.
Yeah, it is smooth. There's no,
when you,
Especially for a one-shot color, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's always been, you know, the purview of mono, you know, the smooth backgrounds and everything. That's really quite remarkable.
And
when
I know a lot of
Appreciate it.
people shoot this with you know, with the more like narrow band filter, or not even so much super narrow, but even 12 nanometer and stuff, and then combine it. And like Joe's saying, like you're saying, for a one-shot color, I'm really impressed with this camera.
so when you shot this, I'm assuming you dithered. Did you drizzle when you processed it and bring it back down?
No,
Or
I haven't done any drizzling during processes. I drizzle every 5 frames while I'm shooting.
you mean dither?
I'm sorry. I dither every 5 frames when I'm shooting, but I don't drizzle when I'm processing.
Because one thing that I've noticed with, if you dither every frame and aggressively, when you combine and drizzle, and that takes a lot more data, but it makes it really, really smooth. And that's why that's why I was so impressed with this. It looked like that's, you know, that's what I would have had to have done with my old DSLR to get something half as smooth.
Yeah, no, this is not drizzled. This is just dithered every 5 frames. So there's 36 3-minute frames. I usually shoot 5 minutes when I'm at Frank's, but I was trying an experiment to see if, based on something that Joe had mentioned at the last workshop, that maybe going with a shorter exposure would reduce some of the star bloating, because the seeing wasn't that great this night. So you can see there's some stuff around the stars. The seeing wasn't that great. Well, there are edge stars. Anyway, I tried an experiment. I usually like to go a little longer exposure to get more depth, to pick up more of that faint stuff. But these were 3-minute subs. So this would be dithered. This would be dithered five times, 5 different locations, basically. Oh no, I'm sorry. There's 30. So seven different times. There's 36 frames. I was thinking it's 26. Oh, that's back to that. I'm not sure where I am in that list. This was down at Assateague the week before. Well, not even 2 days before we drove back from Assateague. So the Friday before that, so basically a week before going up to Frank's that Thursday night, the previous Friday, we drove down to Assateague, and Assateague has a lot of trees. So I was able to kind of put the scope where I could kind of get the North Star to polar align between 2 different trees. And then I was going to do the North American Nebula that night, but it turned out that it was in the trees by the time I got set up. I had a couple equipment issues. And so I turned around, and M45 was like in between these 2 trees. So I shot that for a while until M31 got above the trees. And then I shot this. So this is a relatively long. So this is 105 minutes. So this is 21 5-minute exposures. Shot with the TV 101 at native. So it's a 524 millimeter focal length. I was really happy with the way this came out overall. I like again how smooth it is. There's a fair amount of detail. This is not, oversaturated and stuff. I see a lot of M31s that are, to me, oversaturated. This is all blue, like super blue. This is calibrated using that photometric color calibration. And then I reapply the luminance layer, usually once. sometimes twice. I just reapply the luminance layer to bring up the saturation. So there's no saturation control other than, or enhancement other than reapplying the luminance layer.
It's very nice.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great job with the core too.
I'm sorry, say again?
Great job with the core, you know.
The core.
Oh, yeah, yeah. there's
Yeah, you
nothing-
didn't blow it
nothing
out.
It's
to
not
that.
blown out. Yeah.
And even this little
Look,
star here, I
Yeah.
thought ground star in there.
Yeah.
You can get a sense of how much more there is to go, because even these foreground stars are still showing up in the core.
This is the 2600.
Yeah,
The dynamic range is amazing.
Yeah.
yeah. Even the darks. I mean, the blacks. I think I brought the black point up to maybe 2 or 3 to just bring it right to the edge of the frame after it was processed. Sometimes I'll do a real subtle black point adjustment to just get rid of some of that, to just just improves the contrast a little, get rid of some of that background noise, but without getting into the actual like halo data like this. If you look here, it's a very smooth transition. There's no real cutoff between that halo and the background sky. If you bring the black point up too high, you'll start to see an edge, between like the halo and that background sky. I always kind of look for that smooth transition.
It's very gradual.
What's your assessment of using the shorter exposures? Do you think it helped or hurt or?
I don't
No
know.
difference?
I have to do an A/B. I tried reprocessing. I'm processing things a little differently now. So since I'm still learning PixInsight, so I've gone back and I just started. I don't have any results yet of trying to take some 5-minute data and some 10-minute data and seeing, using apples to apples processing to see what the difference is.
Right.
This is 3 minutes and I think they're decent. They don't seem overly bloated to me. This is not processed separately where the stars were extracted and stuff. This is just a straight stretch. I mean, it's 5 or 6 subtle stretches,
Right.
and then it's like an arc sine H stretch. One thing I've been doing recently is I've been avoiding curves. I don't have anything against curves. I use it all the time, but I haven't recently because what I found is really subtle differences in curves can cause almost like too much of a non-linear effect. Obviously you can use it to bring out various sections or various levels of lightness, which is the point of it. But I have a hard time, even with subtle adjustments and curves, not thinking that it looks artificial. And I'm not sure how to say it another way. Like it just starts to look fake to me if I even make subtle adjustments in curves. So I thought, let me just try straight, like logarithmic stretching or like, arc sine H kind of stretching to just see how that winds up looking. And that's how this was done. This is without any curves adjustment. Same with this, same with that, same with this. That's an old shot. That's Joe. That's from when we went to Cherry Springs in March. I just at the end of March, I just reprocessed this.
How about that? Wow.
Just the other day. This was out of focus. The camera, I was having some problems with the focuser was slipping because this was really high and the camera was a little too heavy. So you can see a little donut in the center of the stars. That's because I'm getting a little bit of the secondary shadow. So it's not the best data, but I did the same thing. I didn't use curves because if I use curves to try to bring out this, the background sky got really mottled. It tended to look real blotchy. And I was trying to pull out, this is only 1 hour. This is 6 10-minute subs. I was trying to see how much of that faintness in here and how smooth I could have that be without all of that background, like modeled texture. I need
That's
more data.
beautiful.
With this, I need more data. This really would benefit from, another hour or two of data.
You still managed to get that 600 million light year away galaxy there. See that?
Yeah, there's this guy here. There's this guy here. And then there's another one here down in the corner. And there's a couple more. There's a couple more little guys in here when I was zooming around. I'm not sure I'll spot them now. But this guy's pretty clear. And actually there's a little bit of detail in that. So that was these are 10-minute subs. Now this one I did process by extracting the stars. Since there were so few foreground stars, I separated the stars in PixInsight using that StarNet 2. And then I just did a subtle stretch on the stars, and then I was able to work the galaxy a little bit more independently. And then I guess I could do it this way. This one people saw before. This was up at Frank's the previous trip. That's M13.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, this one I was really happy with. When I first processed it, I tend not, every time I've shot M13 before, I like to get it to like kind of under process it so that it looks more like it does visually, so that you can kind of see the, spider legs and that. But on this one, this is the first time I've ever shot it with this camera. This was with the C9.25 with that focal reducer. In fact, I think this is the first object I shot with that setup. I was very curious to see, like to not like blow out the core. And even with this, even, zoomed in, you can still see the, the individual stars. I mean, they're blurring together, obviously, because I don't have that kind of resolution. But
But it's not burned out.
it's
Right.
not burned out. And so that's how I process this one. Now, so you're losing some of the, spidery effect that these gold stars tend to bring out here. But I thought it was kind of neat to see it where the halo was extended. Because by just bringing out that kind of spider look, by not processing it, stretching it to this degree, you really lose a lot of these halo stars. They just turn into really faint little smudges. But I liked bringing out on this one the that sort of halo stars around the core, because they're not just little like changes in the grayscale or changes in the black. You can see color in them. You can see distinct shape. So that's that.
You can see
And
the
then this is
propeller
the
as
one I
well.
posted. This one I was really happy with. This was kind of an impulse at the end of the night. I was shooting the Sol and the North America, like these really faint things that need a couple hours. And Joe was getting ready to leave, and I said, I think I'm just going to shoot something bright and not have to think about it. So I pointed the telescope to this. I was going to do M42, and then I thought I didn't want to play around with multiple exposures. Not that that's hard. I just wanted to kind of take it easy. So I set it up towards, I thought, well, the flame and the horse head I can get in one exposure. So
So
that's what I did with this one.
Gary, how did you, can we look at the information on the bottom here? How
Yeah,
long did
I'm
you,
not sure why this is showing up now.
I'm curious because Omnitech is always in my way. How long is the, the
They're
glare?
3-minute subs.
Okay,
This is 20 or 37 3-minute subs. So if you look at that, and this is with the refractor.
yeah, you did a wonderful job keeping Omnitech under control. That usually, for a lot of people, when you look at this picture, Omnitech just overwhelms the exposure. But
Yeah,
here,
and
it's perfect.
thank you, Lou. Yeah, I tried it a couple different ways because depending on like the noise reduction, the masking, you start to get that weird nonlinear effect. You get that sort of, not so much a halo with something that bright, but it almost looks like the outer section is maybe depressed more or something. It starts to have a really unnatural look.
Right.
What I wound up doing is I just put a big block right over the star, like in the mask. I didn't try to actually mask that subtly because it's so bright. And there was, you get these sort of specular lines anyway from the diffraction that's in the optics, that I wound up doing this as a single processing. This is without the curves. This is done with like a soft stretch at first, and then with an arc sine H. And that was the most natural look, even with these stars here, with the nebulosity, how they blend into the nebulosity.
Did you post this? Anyway, you got to enter this into a contest. The way you handled Omnitek, that's awesome, dude. If you go to Astrobin, I'm not sure if you have an account on Astrobin or not.
No, I don't. No.
Yeah, get one and post that. You'll win a prize. I guarantee it.
Oh, wow. Thank you. And then
put
the other
that-
thing was to try to maintain this background stuff.
Yeah,
Actually, just for the heck of it, I did a star extraction, and without seeing the stars and like processing the background the same way, it's amazing how much more of this background stuff your eye picks up when you're not kind of distracted by the stars.
yeah.
I love seeing the stars. Don't get me wrong, but there's just a lot going on in that background that when you just look at I don't think I had that on this. I probably have to share a different folder. Wait a minute. Yeah, hold on. Let me find that. So
Yeah, I'd be interested.
if I go to here, I can probably drive around, right? So you can probably see me driving around, maybe in the folder, or no? Are you just seeing the
No, take your
We're
time.
just, we're just seeing the image, Horsehead.
You're just seeing the image. Okay, let me
That's
see.
all right. It's beautiful. I'll look at this all night.
So that was at Frank's. That was Blue Mountain. So that was so here it is, Flame Horsehead. Flame Horsehead, Pixel site processed.
Print this and put it on your wall, Gary. You guys might think this is crazy, but the Epson printer that CVS has is calibrated, most of them, almost perfectly for this. For the reds, for the come out perfectly for H alpha data, by the way, on that printer. I mean, I have it right here, one right here.
Let me see. Can you see that?
No,
We're still seeing the
same
The
thing.
old one?
Horsehead.
Okay, let me get back to the share. I'm going to stop sharing and I'll go to this other folder.
I mean, look at the reds, how great they came out. Now you're looking it through the camera here, but the CVS printer is pretty amazing. And it's cheap. There you go. Now we can see it.
So this is
Look at
without the
doggies.
stars.
The brown nebula. It's beautiful.
Isn't that wild? How much stuff is in there?
It is wild.
It looks weird, Gary, without the stars.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's, yeah, you're right. Now you can process it and not worry about the stars.
Well, but when I did it that way, I actually tried that experiment. I actually used this as the background, and I stretched the stars slightly, put it back in. It looked like crap
Oh,
because you got like blending this halo in with the actual star just looks so unnatural.
right.
I mean, I shouldn't say crap. It didn't look like crap. It just didn't look natural to me. It looked like a fake image. Whereas the other one, just doing it as all in one step, like there's 4 or 5 subtle histogram stretches, and then the arc sine H, and then a minor adjustment to the black point. Usually, like I said, two or 3 or maybe 4, depending on how the histogram was stretched. It looked a lot more natural. That's how I think that Alnitak and those brighter stars got to be so like kind of smooth looking and natural looking.
Can you
So-
zoom in a little bit on NGC 2023? A little bit more to the right. No, to the right, the other one, not the flame. The blue,
Where do you, oh, to the horse head, you mean?
no,
No, to Bernard, what
blue-
are you saying?
NGC 2023. Right where your mouse is. Right
Here.
that one. Yeah. You want to see that. The reflection nebula there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't sure the
They did
number.
a great job.
Your detail is really amazing in this
Yeah, you
picture.
did a great job with taking the star out without leaving any artifacts.
That StarNet too, that it's a free, the free plugin or whatever for PixInsight. It just works. It extracts the stars, then you just use pixel math to subtract the stars out. Just literally just, and I use it on before while it's still linear. So my workflow is that I do all my calibration. I do the pre-calibration, obviously, with the darks and flats and bias. But then I take that, I just crop a tiny bit off because of the fact that I'm dithering. So there's always a few pixels on the edges that, you don't want to bring into your calculations. And so I'll do a really subtle crop to get rid of that stuff. And then I do the screen stretch, but I unlink the channels. By unlinking the channels, you don't get that really strong green cast. You could do it by linking the channels, and then you can get rid of the green cast by basically normalizing the histogram to the green. I used to do it that way, but it's much faster to just unlink the RGB channels and then do the screen transfer function for just looking at it. And that gets rid of all that cast, and it winds up giving you a little more neutral background. Then I actually take a background area and I neutralize that, and then I do the photometric color calibration. I'm sorry, I do dynamic background extraction first to get rid of any gradient.
DBE on this picture. I'd be afraid to do DBE on this.
I tell you, I had the same thing, and I wound up just putting a couple points in the corners. You're doing it on linear data, so obviously you're not seeing all this. But it was hardly any adjustment to it because there wasn't really any background, any clear background. Let me go back to the original picture. Hold on. Let me go back to that.
And you can see the streaks where the H alpha, the emission nebula, is being pulled. That's so cool.
Let me make this bigger. So like now here's the thing you were talking about before. This is with the stars in it. So you can see the central, and then this is the guy lighting it up. And then those other foreground stars.
The dark nebula there came out great.
And you can see this is a little smoother, this background. It's not, this would benefit from more data because it's not, I was concerned about doing too much noise reduction on this because of, maybe losing some of that structure in the background.
Yeah, I was looking at that, the pink column, we'll call it, in between the flame and the horse head that goes up vertically. In your other image,
This guy.
without the stars, that was such a wealth of detail, was unreal because you didn't put as much noise reduction in it, and it was incredibly detailed. But this is much smoother looking,
Right, yeah, exactly.
That's an interesting thing.
Do we possibly,
Yeah, see, this looks like it's just boiling gas, just
Yeah.
really has
And
emotion.
I was surprised with that too, Tom. It just reminded me so much of like those structures in the Eagle Nebula, those.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah, there and down lower, if you go down in between the horse head and off to the bottom right, there's a dust cloud small dust cloud to the lower right, sticking
Oh,
right
this
in there.
guy.
But yeah,
Yeah,
but look at
yeah.
the area all in between here and all. It's just, it's all swirly, you know? It's just, it looks like it's in motion, you know?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really, it's really neat. And look, and the clouds behind the horse, on the right side of the horse, had all the detail, fine detail in that pink cloud. I mean, wow.
The same kind of, you can find the same thing in the Running Man, underneath the Running Man, with the brownish cloud and all those.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of.
Quite
Yeah,
a
It's quite a
master.
difference though.
I'm anxious to shoot that like M42 and the Running Man. That would fit in this field.
Yeah, put them
Anyway,
all,
so
make a big mosaic, put them all together.
Yeah, I know. That's what maybe one of these years.
Hey, before you
that's-
know it, we're gonna have the entire sky mapped.
I mean, okay. There we go. So anyway,
Good job,
were
man.
the
Good
last,
job.
They were the last 3 outings. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, very nicely done.
So I'm wondering if, during one of our meetings, we could go through a real-time process from A to Z on how you post-process something like this.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, what I do is let me just show you that folder. If I go back to this folder, what I've been doing is let me go back up to let's do something like I'll look at that North American nebula. Lou, this reminded me, I was thinking of this when you texted me the other night about losing that file at the very end with the M33
Don't
triangular
remind
file.
me.
What I've been doing is, since I'm new to PixInsight,
Right.
I've literally been, if I do this let me do it by reverse time. So I do my post calibration. So I have, the master that it generates. I had already generated master darks and bias and flats. So I just applied those. So the only thing in the master folder is the master light. And then this, the LN reference frame. So I take that master light and I just copy it and I just shorten the name.
Right.
Then what I've been doing is, so then I did a crop here, and then I did the dynamic background extraction, and then I did the photo color calibration. So that's here, and then the denoise, and then actually deconvolution to bring out the structure a little and to reduce the really to reduce the star size and to bring out the structure a little, and then the noise reduction. So what I've been doing, I've been saving the file with every step. So I was thinking, if we were to do a little, how do I process this? I could, rather than sit there and wait for 10 minutes for it to run a denoise or something, I could literally just step through each of these, because on every image, every image I process, I've been saving every intermediate step.
Good idea. That's the.
It takes a few extra minutes, or probably an extra minute per step, but I'm learning this stuff still, and I don't know where I'm going to go wrong, and then I want to get back to somewhere where it was still good. This is all linear data at this point. The first stretch is at this point. So, if I were to open this up, this would give you the first stretch. Then I did, then I actually have been saving the, star masks from each of the steps, so that if I need to go back, I can do the, the background mask, the star mask. I can reapply those without having to recalculate.
I save a lot of my stuff too. The problem is I'm trying to remember which ones I used with which, and my desktop or on the console is every picture's open, and so I'm always making clones and looking at this way and then trying it within the clone another way. And
Yeah.
Like the eye doctor, I'm going back and forth.
Yeah, and even with that, what I started doing, Lou, like with that M51 that I was playing around with the other day, I had originally processed it, and I have, all the stuff I was just talking about, all the individual steps. But I wasn't really happy with it. So I took as my starting point let me do reverse again, time. I took as my starting point the linear data before the histogram. So I actually grabbed this one. It has the dynamic background extraction, the photometric color calibration, and then denoise. I didn't do the deconvolution on this because I didn't know how to use it when I first did this. I used that as my starting point, and I just started a folder called PixInsight Process version 2. And then I started that. If I reverse time this, I started with that. And then I did a decon. I thought, well, let me try a decon on that. And then I did the denoise. And then I did a soft stretch. And it was okay, but the background was still a little blotchy. So then I started with the linear, like the most linear data that I got, which was the denoise, the deconvolution denoise. And I said, okay, let me just start a version 3. And I use I use that as my starting point. Let me do the same thing. I'll do it back from time. I use that as the starting point. And then I did a star extraction because I wanted to try to not bring the background stars up because I was making the background sky too sort of model.
Right.
And then I processed the galaxy separately, and that's what came out. That's where that one basically came out.
So my problem was I spent so much time with subtle changes at arcsine stretch on one of the versions. I did arcsine on the other ones, but I was a little more sloppy. This one I was, I was methodically very slow. I barely stretched it, changed the black point, applied another stretch, and each subsequent stretch you need less and less. And I tried it a couple of different ways, and if you do it too much, then everything comes out at you.
Sure. Yeah.
And man, I got it pretty good. The next one, I was planning on like revisiting it today and starting again from scratch, but I wound up in the hospital again. I haven't been doing well, so maybe it was that picture that put me.
It's the stress.
You might want to. If this was put you in the hospital, you might want to pick a different hobby.
No.
Yeah.
So that was. When we get to the, I'll show that image when we get to it. I'll show you what I mean. But thank you for that. How about Tom? Do you have anything you want to show us?
I'll show you something quick. I did this. This is last Last Wednesday night, I think it was. I took a whole different thing. I'm staying in my lane more now. I was doing some Jupiter work versus the deep sky work. When I do deep sky live stack stuff, I'm a little loosey-goosey comparison to what you guys do. But yeah, let me.
He's sharing these with Agapios because I'm sure he would love to see your stuff.
Yeah,
I sent him one, and we went back and forth for a while.
Keep him in the loop. I want to see him come to more meetings.
the Mars one you posted, Tom, was great. Especially I love the animations that you do.
Yeah, I always like animations. Just they're kind of a pain, but I wanted to do an animation on this Jupiter thing. Let me see if I can share here.
Which is the one where you had to dance?
Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is the other night. This is the second. I guess it's last week ago tonight. And this is where this is when you had that's Europa's shadow. Europa is the one, the small one on the right. Then you have the Ganymede. And it was supposed to be a really good night that really didn't, as I kept watching the atmospheric app, it just kept going from good to fair to between 4 and fair, between like marginal and, it wasn't the greatest, but it was okay. And So this is like, I happened to catch, it wasn't right, there was some clouds too, so I was shooting in between. I was going to make a GIF, but there was these high passing clouds, so I couldn't get anything that was consistent. So, but this shows Io, like the middle picture, Io is still in Jupiter's shadow, and then it's partially out, and then it's totally out, like just a few minutes later. And I actually went back today and looked at that video I took at 7:55, the middle frame. And in the very beginning, it is much fainter because it's about a 35-second video than towards the end. So I'm hoping to slice and dice that and maybe just have it come out more, you know, in a more fashion. But anyway, that's
Tom, can you zoom in up? Because it looks like you're getting some surface detail. On,
I get a little bit,
Ganymede.
yeah, I get a little bit here. You can see on Ganymede, there's a little bit.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
great.
definitely.
And it wasn't particularly, I mean, this is not it's not as good as it could have been, I guess is what I'm saying. But I was surprised because I wanted to try Ganymede because it's the biggest, got the best shot at it.
Yeah.
But it was a double transit that night. Now they were really far apart. But anyway,
Still, but look at the way that the shadow's elongating near the
Yeah,
rim.
yeah.
Because of the curvature of the planet.
Yeah. So anyway, it was so I was still happy with it overall. And this is the there we go. But this is kind of the event. It goes like from the upper left down that left-hand column, then down the middle column, and then down the right-hand column. And you can kind of see you know, you can see Io pop out, you know, and Ganymede, and just see Europa's shadow. And then in the middle of the middle, you can just see the Ganymede shadow just starting, coming in.
Yeah.
And then it comes on. And then you can also see as it went on later in the night, it got clearer, especially towards the end. The atmosphere settled down a bit and there was a little more detail in the picture. But anyway, it was still fun. I've been trying to get a double shadow for a while. And we happen to have a clear night when one was there. So
That's great. Really great.
so that's kind of where I've been living these days. I've been really, actually, I haven't brought my wide field, my 8-inch out for deep sky for a couple months now, probably, because I've been just playing with Saturn and Jupiter and a little bit of Mars and the sun and that sort of thing. I'm getting a little more comfortable with the ADC now, especially with the Newtonian on a German equatorial mount. You know, the horizon's very dynamic. It's very loosey-goosey. So you really have to, I go out now in the daytime, and one thing good, it's repeatable. Let me get out of this. But how do I?
You have any daytime issues of images of Jupiter and Saturn?
I haven't tried that. I'm trying to see how I can, how come? Oh, here we go. Stop share, top now. Okay, yeah, I haven't tried that. I've thought about it actually. I mean, I've seen Jupiter like in the daytime visually, but I haven't looked at I can see the bands, you can pick them up. They're faint, they're way low contrast. But anyway, I really like to make the GIFs if I can, because it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun to see things move. It's kind of rewarding to me to see things move.
For sure.
And actually, it's surprising how fast things happen on Jupiter. As far as the moons go, I mean, you know, it rotates fast, but if you have, especially moons like Io, man, in 15 minutes, it can move a tremendous distance across the sky. You know, it's really amazing. But anyway, but the ADC stuff, I've gotten to a routine where if I'm going to shoot, if I know I'm going to shoot that night, at what time of night I'm going to go out, I move the scope to that point. I throw on my horizon mask, I'll call it. It's just a piece of flat, this is just a straight edge piece of cardboard that has a ring on the end that fits over the tube. I have a level, I just level it out. And then I look in the eyepiece itself, and I can see what the angle is for the horizon. And on that little ring, on the ring I have on the Barlow, I'll adjust it so that the tightening knob, one of the tightening knobs, it's at the same angle as the horizon is at that time of night. So when I go out later, I bring it back out, I put it over there, I can do that, and I have the 0 point really for the ADC. And if you're using the same Barlow each time and everything else, you got a pretty good idea right away, how far to go and spread the arms based on, if you're shooting Jupiter, you moved it maybe 1.5 notches or 2 notches, it's probably gonna be pretty close to that the next night. And I've been using the Sharp Cap tool. The Sharp Cap has an ADC tool. I know Fire Capture does too. I'm not familiar with Fire Capture much. I've turned it on, turned it off type of thing, but it looked like their ADC tool. You're trying to match circles over circles. With Sharp Cap, there's actually numbers come up. There's like a red line and a blue line, the numbers come up. And as the atmosphere is in motion, these numbers change like maybe like 0.3 to 0.6, back to 0.4. But as you're moving the arms around, you can see it just jump up to like even like 3.5 or something, move back a little bit. Okay, now it's 2.1 as an average, and keep moving it down. And about the best I can typically get, I usually get them around between like 0.1 to 0.4 in that range. When they fall in that range, I know I'm in pretty good shape, and I'm not getting in the image. I'm not getting any reds or blues on the images. Like the rings of Saturn or something, they go away. But it is remarkable. I mean, that's been a game changer for me. I mean, watching that seminar from Agapios, yeah, it was.
Well,
I'll tell you, it does make a difference, and it's funny because I will sharpen it with it in the 0 position, with no adjustment at all, and I get it as sharp as I can. And once I go and I spread those arms out, the ADC, it's definitely sharper. I mean, it's definitely sharper just looking at the screen.
Yeah.
So it makes a real difference.
well, we have a couple more weeks before Mars is at opposition.
Yeah.
It would be great. I don't know if we can have another tutorial between now and then, but do you feel like showing us Sharp Cap or Fire Capture? I'm not that familiar with Fire Capture at all.
I'm not a fire capture guy. I'm hook, line, and sinker on the Sharp Cap bag. I started using that. I got familiar with it, and they have all these tools. I'm always finding some new tools with it. It's just ridiculous the set of things you can do with it. And Fire Capture is a lot like that too. Just that I'm familiar with Sharp Cap, and I'm very comfortable with it.
I'm wondering if we can ask Agapios to show us Fire Capture, because I don't know if you can do this in Sharp Cap, but I know Fire Capture, you can set the parameters, and instead of you have the big black field where you're finding the planet, but you can set it so it's just outside of Jupiter. So
I can set any size I want with Sharp Cap. I can do it down. I can do a pixel by pixel if I want.
Oh, really?
Any number. It has a default of about 20 basic, region of interest type things. But I always customize it and make it fit. If I'm going for a moon or something, I'll make it longer on one side or whatever,
And it'll always only use that data because the rest of the black data is wasted.
Oh yeah, that's all you're recording, because you record the whole thing. Your frame rate just bogs down.
Wasted
It gets
space.
small, like on Mars.
Yeah.
Mars, I shoot at about 340 by 340 pixels, and with that Mars shot, I was shooting 198 frames per second, which gives you an awful lot of data quickly. So
Yeah.
even if it's a crappy night, when I shot Mars, it's still over my house. The way it's set up, my house blocks the east until things are like 40 degrees up, or no, about 30 degrees up. But Mars had just cleared the house. Now with daylight savings done, and Eastern Standard will be a lot easier because it won't be so late at night. But that was only about 5 degrees above the roof of my house. And it's kind of really blinking like crazy. So I'll shoot 25,000 frames, at a really high rate. And I picked the best 2,000 or something, and I'll throw away 23,000. And because you're shooting so fast that even if it's just a momentary thing that lasts 1/10 of a second, you're still getting 20 good frames in that 1/10 of a second. So you can begin to snatch things you can never possibly even see visually because it's so fleeting, But anyway, it's you really got to. I always stop things down like crazy just to get my frame rate up. I try to shoot at least The slowest thing is Saturn stuff. Saturn, I can only get up to about maybe 60 or 70 frames per second because the gain gets too high, and then you're fighting. They're cross purposes, your grain is getting so grainy that
Right.
you have to stack 20,000 frames to get it. You got to shoot 100,000. It's rotating. It's just it's no good. So I don't shoot quite as fast there. I'm only about 60 frames. But with Jupiter, I can shoot. I was looking here at my notes. I shoot about 100 to 120 frames a second on Jupiter typically, and that's a bigger frame. That might be a 600 by 600, or in the case of where there's moons, like the other night, it was an 800 by 600 I laid out so I could have the moons move a little bit. But I could still get it though at over 100 frames per second. And I try not to go real long with Jupiter. I mean, they say up to a minute, but if I take a 1 minute image and take another one right away afterwards, it's moved quite a bit when I look at these two images. So I don't use a minute. I use 35 seconds as my max time for Jupiter, and I just cut it. It's the same thing on the sun. I don't go over 30 seconds for a solar shot because things are moving too quick. Over 30 seconds, even though I get more frames may be sharper, but things are moving. So when they go to stack, they won't be as sharp.
Yeah, I found the same thing. I used to do a minute on Jupiter. Now, I'm glad to hear you saying 35. I actually did 45 seconds, and it still looked like I could go lower, or I should go lower. Because
I did.
When I put the animation together, like when I was putting the animation together, I had like a 5-second gap between them just to maybe clean out a buffer or something. I'm not sure why, but I just have a little 5-second gap from like frame to frame, a minute apart. It was a noticeable movement.
Yeah, it really is. It's incredible.
Yeah, that has to result in blurring.
Yeah.
In that minute, even with something like WinJu post, it's not taking that out.
Yeah. If the atmosphere is really bad, if I set up and I'm using my 10-inch reflector, which it isn't like a Schmidt cast. It's an 8-foot long tube. It is a bear to set up. When I go through trouble to set it up, it takes me like a half an hour to get everything ready out there. When I set it up, and if it's not the greatest night, I will go to like 245 seconds just to get more frames. And typically I'll shoot 4,000 frames in 35 seconds. But if it's a really bad night, I'll shoot 5,000 frames and I'll go to 45 seconds because the blurring of the extra 10 seconds is probably going to be less than this boiling mess I'm trying to extract from. And the extra 1,000 frames, I may get lucky, and just happen to hit a point where it's clear for a half a second or something,
Yeah, it makes sense.
So whereas
what do you shoot for for like Mars? I mean, Mars is relatively slow rotation. Do you I know in the past I've only done a couple, like I've only shot Mars once this year, and I think I did like three minutes or something like that.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't go above 3. And I started thinking about it. I started looking at different things. And I think I started, because I was shooting like 35,000 frames. That took about 3.5 minutes. And I started thinking about this saying, okay, I'm getting carried away here. I'm losing I've lost my way here. I've gone too deep into this thousands of frames type of thing. And so I started looking at just images back and forth. And that video, that short video is only about, an hour and 20 minutes, and you can see it rotate. In 2 minutes, I feel very safe. But no more than 3, and probably 2.5 is probably where I would tap out with Mars now. Okay. So at 200 frames per second, what do you get? You get 12,000 frames a minute. Yeah, that's what I've been shooting. I've been shooting between 20 and 24,000 frames now, and that's about 2 minutes.
Okay.
Tom, you go consecutive. You don't wait between.
No, I always wait. I'm not, because I'm blown. Okay. These are pretty big files. I'm shooting them as 16-bit RAWs. If I shoot 25 frames, I got a 6 gig video file. So I'm tuning up this pretty fast. And if I want to get if I'm going to shoot over time, like an hour or so, if I want to shoot a couple hours, I really have to spread it out. So in Jupiter, I'm not going for, when I'm shooting, I'm not trying to get that one picture that is like the best picture of the night by shooting consecutive. What I'm trying to do is make a GIF. So I'm shooting a video every 2.5 or 3 minutes, and I'll take it, boom, boom, boom. And when I'm done the night, if I have 60 videos, one of those for sure will stand out as a much better video than the other ones. And that's the one I use as my single shot. The rest of them get combined together and it's a GIF, and the the chips fall where they may on the individual frames in the GIF. If it's a really, really bad frame when I stack it, I will eliminate it because I'm shooting like every 3 minutes. So if it jumps from 3 to 6 minutes on a GIF that's moving quickly, it's really not a deal. But yeah, that's kind of what I do. And you can shoot fast. Mars is nice, it's bright. So you can go with a little bit lower gain. And my exposure rates are under four milliseconds. So it's very fast. And so if there is momentary blurring or a little motion or anything, it can freeze it,
Well, tell me if what do you think about this technique? The last time I did Mars, I did what was it, 3 minutes consecutively 3 times, and then I took a break. So it was a total of 6 minutes, but it's 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes. And then I waited, I don't know, 15 minutes. And then I did again, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes. So it definitely showed rotation, but it was kind of like, it wasn't
Oh,
stacked.
it's small. It's a lot more. Like in Jupiter, man, you stayed in a minute, it stands out. Mars in a minute later, you're not going to see it,
Well, I got 6 hours of rotation that way. I was gonna. My plan was to stagger it that way, and then the next night,
So you shoot a couple consecutively, pick the best one of that group, the best one of 2 or 3, and then get the next group of tests. That's not a bad way of doing it. Actually, it's a very good way of doing it.
The thing is, with Jupiter though, between night and night, you're gonna notice difference in the weather, because I can't believe how much definition you have. With Mars though, it might be feasible because Mars really isn't going to change very much on the surface.
Yeah.
Unless all of a sudden there's a dust storm. But
I really, that 10-inch is kind of it's optimized for the planets. It was only built for the planets. I mean, it's a 10-inch telescope. Its diagonal is only 1.5-inch minor axis. It's tiny. It's the same size as my 6-inch telescope, but it's so long, and that diagonal just barely covers the mirror. I want to minimize to get low diffraction.
right.
The mirror is particularly good in that one. So it's just fortunate,
All right. You have any more pictures you want to show us, Tom?
That's it. Nope, that's all for now.
Anybody
sweet.
else?
Great. Thanks for sharing those. They're really nice.
Yeah.
Stanley.
Keep them coming too. I love to see your stuff.
Well, thanks.
Stan,
I like yours too, Gary. They're always staggering,
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have anything to share tonight with the group, but I really appreciate Tom and Gary's information, especially Tom's with the video. I tried to take some shots of Saturn and do some movies and break them apart, by frames. And I don't think I was shooting at a high enough frame rate, so I'm going to give that a little try.
Yeah, higher frame rate really makes a difference. It helps a lot.
Shooting at Saturn, and it was just maybe I should pick a bigger target like Jupiter to try to work with that first. But
yeah, Jupiter first.
Saturn's the toughest.
Mars, but Jupiter's nice because it's big, it's bright, so it's Saturn's not easy. It's tough because it's a lot dimmer.
Yeah, it always looks clearer when I look at it with my eye than it ever does with the camera.
Yeah,
When you look on the screen,
it's hard. I find Saturn harder to get for the lucky imaging to work as well, just because you don't typically have as many frames. I mean, you can go longer because it's rotating slower and it doesn't have the surface features that are.
Yeah, you're not seeing this much cloud detail.
But it's always I find tougher.
Oh, it's much tougher. Yeah,
it's just faint. It's relatively faint.
Yeah.
I can shoot about 40 frames, 50 frames a second on Saturn. I typically get 80 to 90 on Jupiter and like 180 on Mars. So out of the three, Mars is, because
Yeah,
it's
Mars
so
is-
small, you can
yeah,
do
it's
a
small.
really small, ROI. And I just tried an experiment just the last time I was out. The cameras, they have a guide port on them, one of the ST4 ports. And I have an old Los Mandy G11 mount that has just the hand controller input is basically the ST4 connection. So I took a 6-pin, flat wire, like basically, a phone cable, a 6-pin phone cable, hooked it up between the mount and the hand control, between the camera and the controller on the mount. And I just literally on fire capture, I said, let me just turn on auto guiding and see what it does. And it worked like right out of the chute. I mean,
that's
I didn't
amazing.
have to flip left and right. I didn't have to do anything. It just sort of worked.
You mean you had the wires in the right spot?
Yeah.
How'd you get that lucky?
I'm going to count my blessings here.
So you plugged a cable between the ST4 port into your hand controller port on the mount?
Well, into the controller port,
On the hand controller?
well,
Or right into the mount?
yeah. So the G11 has basically a 4-button hand controller
Yeah,
that plugs into a 6-pin connector.
Yeah.
And that is the ST4 pinout. That's
Oh,
what
it is the
that's
same
what
pin?
that's
Oh, okay.
what
I thought it was a little different than a phone jack.
well, I mean, it's a 6-pin. It would be like an office.
It's an RJ11 type of connector.
Yeah.
So and anyway, I mean, any guide cable would work, any ST4 guide cable. But the point is that I was able to get the ROI, the region of interest, really, really tight, because the camera
It wouldn't
was
drift at all.
sending control messages through fire capture to the mount, and
Correctly.
that allowed me to get the frame rate like easily up to 180 frames a second.
That's
I
amazing.
think I was like 300 pixels by 300 pixels or something like that.
Wow.
Wow.
And I probably could have gone less because it was sitting like dead nuts on. It was just sitting there frozen. And I thought, this is great. Then I kind of, I had to do a meridian flip, and I was getting tired, and I thought,
I can't stand the meridian flips. I hate that. I hate that with that field of view.
I'll just do it, before next time. Then I just plug the cable in.
No,
I pictured it running off like
Yeah.
Martin just running off the screen kind of thing.
I could think of 100 reasons not to do a meridian flip, and only one reason why to do it. I mean, I just don't do it.
Well, you have to on the German equatorial. You have no choice.
My mount goes 20% past. I'll save those for the next night.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, the way the planets have been, you really haven't had to. Like Saturn, you would now, right? Because it's getting late in the season. But
Jupiter's
Mars
kind of a pain in the neck right now too, because Jupiter it starts just on the east side. It's about an hour or two. Well, now probably two hours. As soon as it gets dark, there's 2 hours on the east, then the rest of the night's on the west. So if you're trying to do something, you're stuck with the flip.
Well, if you can you start 20 degrees on the one side? I mean,
You
on my
can.
mount-
You got a little bit of time you can do, or at least on my mount, I can do 10, I think, 10 degrees on the Ioptron.
Yeah, on my G11, in one direction, in the east direction, I can't go as far because the motors will hit.
Oh,
But on the west direction, like I can go probably 20, 25 degrees past the meridian.
Yeah.
But
Well, I got a
there's
physical
nothing in the
tube
way
problem.
other than like if I go.
I got
too
this-
far, then
I
something
got
in the
this foot
camera
in
light.
diameter. I got a foot in diameter, 8 foot long tube that would hit my pier if I went
Yeah,
more
yeah.
than 10 degrees.
So Tom, you're saying with your Ioptron, is that the 770 that you're talking about?
Yeah.
And you can go past that? Because on mine, oh, you know what it is? I think it's the ASI error. ASI error will, if I'm doing deep sky, it won't let you go past the meridian, which is like a pain in the butt because the mount can go further.
Yeah, you
But
can do, yeah,
software
on the
in the
settings on the
air
mount,
will-
you can say, you can have it flip automatically or just stop. And you
Right.
can say, how many degrees in fraction of degrees, and like in tenths of degrees past the meridian up to 10 degrees or up to 9.9 at least.
Yeah, I've seen that on the mount. But
Yeah.
I think it's the ASI Air. When I'm doing deep sky, that's what I'm using. That's the limiting factor because it's pissed me off a number of times where it gets right to the meridian and there's plenty of room for the mount to
Yeah.
go.
Right.
And the mount is set for +10 or something, and it just stops.
Stop.
And then I lose my tracking. Then I have to,
Yeah.
then it's kind of like the mount just shuts off. It's like, come
Yeah,
on,
really. It
guys.
just makes a beep. Well, mine just goes beep, and that's it, stops. And everything starts slamming across the sky through your field of view. It just exits.
Right, exactly. You just see the object. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is when we can start thinking alt azimuth, a cheap alt azimuth for that, right?
I tell you, that's why for like planetary, I've been using, except if I'm at Frank's or something where I have the Ioptron mount. I just use my old G11. It has no go-to. I mean, I have digital setting circles on it, but you don't need to use that for the planets because you just point it.
You see it, yeah.
But it just simplifies the whole thing. I just turn it on and I can go probably at least 25 degrees past the meridian without any issue. And I do that routinely. The camera's hanging down like
Yeah,
this.
right.
And it's sort of like, well, it's still going. Why not?
Hope those knobs are tight enough.
Actually, I do check.
I know you
the
check
landing
them.
Yeah, it's lined up with the camera on the ground.
That's always my nightmare there.
Well, even shooting at the zenith, that one always gets me. I'm always kind of going out in between, setting up and
Yeah, just
tightening
checking
up
everything.
because
Yeah.
the camera's shooting straight up.
I use two needle nose pliers and I'm just clamping down the screw, probably more than I should. I'm
Yeah.
probably distorting the actual metal. But yeah, I'm afraid that. Well, now that the camera we have now, though, that's not going to go anywhere. It screws right in. I'm not going to have to worry about.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. On my ST2, I have it with the 2-inch because I using the Star Arizona vocal reducer, so that has a 2-inch barrel. But still, there's two on my focuser. There's two screws, two thumb screws, and then there's the brass clamp, and that thing seems like it's rock solid. I've never had an issue with it, and knock on wood. So far it's been fine, but I still think about it.
Who else has Bob Trouble Clock? Any pictures? Bob, are you an astronomer? I've never seen a picture from you. You're also muted. We can't hear you.
I just listened to you guys. You guys got nice pictures.
All right, we have Dan and Bill Montgomery. Either of you guys have any pictures you want to show us? No, yes. Dan.
I just had a question for Gary. It was going back to that history thing. Gary, I'm trying to understand why you do that.
Do what?
Your history on Pix Insight, you save all the steps.
Oh yeah, because I'm still getting familiar with the software, so I'm not real comfortable with it yet, and I don't know when I'm going to deviate, like where this is starting to not look too good. I went too far somewhere, and then I don't have to sort of start over. I can just go back a step. I mean, I can obviously there's the undo, and I'll like go back and forth with that, but since I'm learning new techniques with it, again, I've only been using it for 2 months now. Since I'm learning new techniques, I might want to go back 3 months later.
Do you know that it's got a history? Do you know how to use the history to go up and back in your process?
It does. I mean, Pix Insight in that XISF format that it saves the history, everything that's been done for each individual image. But for me, it's just simpler to just I want to go to the end of the linear phase, you know, like if where I think it's starting to deviate is because of the way I stretched it, or if I'm trying a new stretching technique, then I'll go like to the end of all that linear calibration. Because at that point, while it's linear, you really haven't, you know, distorted the data, right? You haven't applied any nonlinear transforms to it, like the histogram does.
Do you know how to use the process container function?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, you know what? I was planning on opening up PI next if you guys wanted to. But
sure.
let me,
Yeah, I do, Dan. I just for me, it's just easy to just grab a file, move it over to my new folder, and then take it from there as like a new version that I'm experimenting with.
there's
Okay.
there are some disadvantages though with the History Explorer, especially, I mean, I like to clone stuff. So the History Explorer only goes so far, and then you start a new process. You don't have the history from that. You got to remember where that, go back and trace where that came from. But
Right.
that is when I use that is at the end. If I'm ready to post my image on on the Reddit sub, because that guy won't let you post unless you put every step that you took. So fortunately, all that stuff is on there. But here, let me show you my triangulum attempt here. And this is, so I was able to recover some of this, Gary, when I lost because I'm doing copies back and forth the triangulum, and I can't believe I hit the damn delete button. I still can't believe that, but let me share my screen. Here we go. Let's share this one. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the final picture of it. What you're noticing different from this one than from the other one that I had before. I don't know if I'm going to point out all the flaws. But, it almost looks like there's a light bulb behind this image that's illuminating it. It's like almost fake. So I had this a little more subtle. But one thing that I found while processing this, when I did the HDR, that was the step that really helped the most. I used lightness with the lightness mask, and I used 11 layers. I just started with, it starts with 6, and I just kept going up. And 11 layers made the huge, I mean, it brought out these nice dark lanes here. Once I went to 12, it was a dramatic difference. And the difference between 9 and 10 was subtle. Between 10 and 11 was subtle. I mean, everything was subtle until I don't know why 12 was the magic number. But anyway, that's one thing that allowed all that little detail.
What do you do? Are you doing any special settings for the HDR? Like, are you modifying the defaults, or are you just adding?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I mentioned I'm using it on, no, just I'm using on lightness and I'm checking lightness and lightness mask for this particular. I'm not doing de-ringing. I did not do de-ringing this time around. So the thing is, I would have checked that with the other image before I hit the delete button. But I didn't because I deleted it. But you can see here see how they're just a little bit too bright, and I think this is a function. See how the colors are.
Yeah, it's a little offset. The blue is off the white.
I think that's a function of the focal reducer, believe it or not.
Oh, you think you're getting refraction?
Yeah, I think that I can't figure out what else it's from. But I mean, overall, I'm happy with the quality.
Yeah.
What I should have done though was see how it's a little mottled here. if I would have did drizzle 3x, processed everything 3x drizzle, and then so it would be 3 times the resolution. So obviously it would take a lot longer. But then when you bring it back down to regular size, a lot of these problems would disappear. And that's why I like doing dithering every frame, because you'll get a lot of the, and now I'm talking, I don't have anything to support this. I'm just telling you now that I hit the delete button again. And that's so frustrating. I wasn't about to start that again. But I also plate solved this and I annotated it, and I'll show you that version. And this one was extra bright. I'm not sure if you can see there's a little more green, and these are a little brighter. I didn't go back to fix that. I just wanted an annotated version because I was trying to find out what this galaxy was. And I couldn't find it out here. I sent it out to Astrobin to be plate solved. It plate solved successfully, but it couldn't figure it out. I'm just curious. Anybody know?
No, not offhand. No.
I'm impressed at how well this came out compared to. Let me show you my other one of the same with my DSLR. All right, so here's this one, and then my DSLR.
How long was that exposure again? It was like
Only
3 hours?
3 hours, that's it.
Okay.
Now my DSLR.
And that's fairly high up. M33 is pretty high up right now.
Yeah, and the moon was out, when I did this too. So I'm surprised I was able to get all that contrast. But my M33 here, where is it? Where is the images?
To the left one. Photos.
Wait, I'm trying to here. Let me see here.
Right between the A's.
Well, I was gonna see my photo album here.
I'm sorry. I thought you were just going to the photo albums.
So look at the difference. Oh, wait a minute. How come I can't blow this up? Here we go.
Yeah, you want to just go to the album, right?
Here we go. I mean, look at the difference. Why is this not sizing properly? How do I get to the albums?
I think you want to just go to the albums. Go back to the web page. You're in the edit. You're in the edit for the member thing. Just go to the web page. Close that, and then in between the 2 A's, there's photos. DVAA, right above the. There you go. And then you can go to your album there.
Where the hell is it? Let's see here.
Well, it depends when you added something there.
Here.
There you go. And you can blow those up.
Here's. I mean, look at the difference. You don't even have to flip back and forth between that one. Huge difference.
Yeah, noticeable. Yeah.
Yeah, with the DSLR. And let me see here.
Is it similar time? Like you have, is it, how much time is on that, or is it more?
I'm gonna look right here. Let me see. Probably more.
I think with your DSLR, you usually shot pretty long, right?
Yeah, a lot. I don't know if I have it readily available here. No, but I do have it here. Hold on. Give me a second.
So your horse head on the desktop, about how long is that? Because that looks so smooth.
13 hours.
13 hours. Wow.
Yeah. Where the hell is it? Here we go. Oh, come on, man. All right, here we are. Scroll. How come the mouse doesn't work? Come on, mouse. There's an asteroid I found. Don't look up. Here's my 6-hour Mars animation. And
Oh, that's cool.
you see the how it bounces? That's from the meridian flip. Speaking of meridian flips. There it is. Let's see here. 82 by 300 seconds. So a lot longer. Computer, what's 82 times 5 minutes?
82 times 5 minutes is 6 hours and 50 minutes.
6 hours and 50 minutes.
Wow. So over double.
Right. And a shittier image. I mean, and also notice that the field of view is a little bit smaller on the APS-C chip. Compared to
Same back focus.
yeah, the field of view is a little bit different because it's a smaller there's fewer pixels. It's a 10.1 megapixel camera versus the what is this one, a 24, 26 something. But you know,
On the 2600.
yeah, you know, yeah, that has smaller pixels, but the whole size when you look at is a little bit smaller. But anyways, also, I mean, we're not comparing apples to apples. This is my processing skills 2-3 years ago, you know, compared to today. All right, so I'm going to close.
I have to try that HDR. I haven't been using that. I tried it once. I was watching a YouTube video and a person explained it, but I haven't gone back to that. So that could probably help with bringing out that
HDR is
detail.
huge, especially if you're planning on doing Orion, because there is I think the Orion Nebula, it'll come in really, really handy. So unless somebody has any other specific question, I was going to open up PixInsight and
What's HDR?
it's a high definition. Here, I'll show you. And close my images here. Why won't they close? Are you able to see this screen still?
Yeah,
And are you able to see them having trouble with these damn pictures?
yeah.
What if we do this? There we go. Okay. I think this is the master. Yeah, there it is. Did yours come out red when you first shot it? Is this how, when you first do your pictures, do they come out red or green?
No, so what I do is open up the screen transfer function rather than just doing the Control A.
Right.
Go to the process. I usually just go to all process screen transfer function,
Right.
and then uncheck that, and then apply it with the little
Yeah, where did that red come from?
Well, I mean, usually it's green, right? If it comes up, but I guess it just depends what the hot channel is. But I find that if I do that, if I unlink the RGB channels, I don't have to go through that, that getting rid of the, like usually I have to apply the L channel histogram to the green and blue, to the red and the blue, to get them to be balanced.
Now, if you want me to do this real quick, I'll just cheat. I'll make a clone here. I'll quickly stretch this using ArcSine stretch, without doing any other,
Without doing any linear calibration.
right, anything else. Come on. Come on. It's too much. It's, all right, that's good enough. Again with this black point. There we go. I don't understand why this is not. Oh, you know why? Because we didn't color calibrate it. I have to do that. Let me color calibrate it.
Yeah.
Use the photometric.
Yeah. That does a great job. I'm really impressed with that tool.
I love it.
We were talking about that when Mark was questioning what is it really doing to the galaxy color. And I read an article that I think explained, at least in my mind, it explained it. It actually, it's when it's looking up the data, it's only looking up star data, and it's trying to find stars that are white. And then it's taking the white balance on the individual RGB channels for those white stars, and then it applies it to everything.
Well,
that's why it works on the galaxies and why it works on the non-white stars. It's because it's applying that color balance to the whole image based on what it believes are white stars.
By the way, if you hover the mouse over top here, it'll explain it all, just that you said. But we have all the different white references here, and anyway. By the way, Klondike makes the best chocolate milkshakes. Not that you guys care, do you?
I care.
We do.
I care. You have to care about milkshake.
I'm telling you. I just had 2 of them. The problem with the disorder I have to keep eating calories, and I have to put on fat. I gotta get fat, which sucks. I can't drink any alcohol, which sucks even more. All right, let's close this one.
I'll stop sipping on my wine then.
No, you can sip on your wine. Let's see.
Well, I have to do it when you're not looking.
There you go. I'm not looking.
Okay.
All right, let's see.
Okay, you can look now.
I'm paying attention to this. Listen, Gary, it hurts when I'm laughing. So,
okay.
Man, where the fuck is the intensity transformation? There we go. Oh my God, we're gonna be on YouTube. I gotta come back and edit this.
Yeah, you can't say that.
Yeah, you can't say that on TV.
Yeah, we don't have the bleeper.
Estimate black point.
There you go.
It's close enough. And then you turn that off. And we're gonna go. How far? Yeah, this one you have to do a couple times. Look at it. You can't really just do it once. So let's
What
just,
did you just turn off? You turned off the stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, I just turned off the regular stretch
yeah,
because we're stretching it with this.
right.
So just trying to find the black point close enough. So I'm gonna stretch it once like this. Okay, and we're gonna stretch it again. Maybe one more time.
It's a shame they don't have that control, that black point. I mean, I know they have the fine thing, but the fine thing is so subtle. They need to have a way to expand though that.
Well, you could do it manually up here.
I know that's what I wind up doing. I wind up typing it in and then I use the little the 0.05 adjustment thing. I mean, it works fine. It just they could have a little better user interface on that dialogue.
Who knows? It might be a future update.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what? I want to do this one more time. Otherwise, I want the HDR to show up. So this is what happened with the other one. I didn't stretch it. I think I wound up stretching it 5 or 6 times.
And you went straight to ArcSine H? You didn't do it like a preliminary histogram or anything?
No, I went straight to ArcSine H because you have more control over that. All right, so now we're gonna estimate black point again. Now we have a little more control of black point. Somebody just texted me here. So let me make sure it's not my wife. Oh, Joe says, sorry, company showed up. Okay.
The book club let out.
Yeah. All right, let's just keep it there for now, I guess. What do you think?
Welcome back, Joe. You're muted. You're muted.
Is he up there?
Yeah.
Thanks. Sorry.
Joe.
It's okay. We figured you were having cookies with the book club.
No, you know what? I promised them I was going to show them a star party. So I showed them Jupiter real quick, but I'm back.
Oh, great. Oh, that's great. A little DVAA outreach.
Yeah. But anyway.
All right. So we're gonna do this one last time, maybe.
The next book will be A Theory of Everything.
Great shot, by the way.
Thanks. So notice, like, each time we're stretching it, we're going, the stretch factor is smaller and smaller and smaller. Look what happens. If you go before, we could barely get a picture, but if you go all the way, it's terrible. But now it's these subtle differences that define, how serious you are about, or how much ADD you have. Now, you know what I also do, Gary, is I leave the cursor in here and the up and down buttons go 5 at a time.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've done that. Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna leave it at 127 here. And all right. And each time I do that, the next one looks better, but that's gonna be too bright. All right, so
yeah. Because that's just because it's using the preview to apply what's still in the dialogue.
okay, so
That's amazing. So that's just with the ArcSine H.
okay, I didn't pull out any stars. I didn't do any other calibration, just for the color. We didn't, nothing else is saturated. What I would do is pull out a luminance layer before I do that, do all my processing on luminance, stretch that one. When we combine this, I would use LRG recombination and pick the
Right.
luminance and then lower that down, and that will bring more. If I don't know if I'm going too fast, but that will bring more. Well, here, let's try it.
Yeah, that'll bring the saturation up. I
So you know
tend
what?
to use like 0.4. It defaults to 0.5. I just pull down
Right.
a little. Is that a good?
Everyone's different, Gary. Sometimes I've had to go the other way, but yeah, I start with, I'm at least 0.4. So let's do this then on these, since they're both stretched. We'll go to process LRGB recombo and do these auto, and look, it automatically picked the right one. All right, so let's go to 0.39 and see what happens.
Do you ever do color, the chromium noise reduction and stuff, or do you leave those off?
Oh no, okay, I was just getting ready to do that step now. So basically what I do is I do the first number, whatever I am here, to see where about I'm at. Like,
Okay.
you start at 40. Do I think I need more? I think I need a little bit more. I was planning on taking it down to 32. And then I was going to add this because it takes time.
Right. It takes longer. Yeah.
Now, I think 32 might be too much. We'll see what happens. I would have probably done it one more time without the chrominance, but you're up my butt about it, so.
Hey man, I can't.
You and your wine, All right, let's
Yeah,
see.
if I wasn't so drunk right now, I'd probably leave you alone.
All right, actually, that doesn't look half bad. It's still a little bit, a little bit too bright there, but then what we would do, I mean, look, this is not in any order. I'm just trying to get this picture in the state so that we would go to the HDR multiscale. And we hit these two puppies and we see what one iteration looks like. Now this goes really fast. I mean, you could make a
What is that?
HDR multiscale transform. So one makes it look terrible.
Yeah.
One passive 6. So let's see here. One layer. So when we're changing to 9 layers here. Now, see the difference?
Oh, wow.
Before, after. Before, after. Before, after. So a lot of that brightness in the center was just blowing everything away. Now, you also have to remember, we skipped a lot of steps. You see there's a lot of noise. It's not very smooth. I just wanted to point the benefit of this tool out.
Yeah.
Now I think we can go as high as 11 with this one, where we actually still get some benefit. I think I needed to go now. 11 might be too much for this particular one because of all the processing steps or lack thereof. Actually, 11 looks great. Here's before, here's after. Can you notice the difference?
Yeah.
All right, so that's where I would use that. But I didn't do any noise reduction. Look at this camera, man. Without any noise reduction, this is pretty freaking amazing. I mean, wow. And it's
Lou,
only-
I'm sorry, stupid question. What scope did you take this on?
it's Celestron Edge HD 8.
An 8?
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
shot.
That's with the focal reducer.
Yes, with the focal reducer.
Mhm.
And then this is the 2600 camera.
Yeah. This is the one you guys convinced me to buy.
Yeah,
But I mean, first of all, you notice the picture, the image came out basically almost processed, almost
great.
almost finished.
And
Now
look at the dynamic range you have, you know, I mean, that's amazing,
Well, that's what we were just doing right here with the HDR,
right?
you know. But it took, I rarely use 11 layers for that, you know. Now it's not as smooth because we didn't do all the other steps, but that's one thing I wanted to point out.
It's amazing.
Is
That is
there,
good. I'll have to look at that.
is there any, the other thing too, I would do, let's see here. I don't know if it's necessary with this particular, camera. Let's try this. It probably will screw it up here, but let's see. Right here, this enhances the noise. Yeah, definitely not good.
What tool is that?
That's local histogram equalization. So this would, with the DSLR, this would come in, you know, you'd use this a little more frequently. And you'd the bigger the kernel radius, the better the image would look. So we'll just get rid of that one. See how easy it is to close these. It should get, I mean, those were previews, so I understand there's no warning. Why doesn't give me a warning? If I close this, this is gone forever.
Is there a setting and maybe in the preferences to warn you?
You gotta let me know.
Yeah, mine just goes away too.
All right, so look, now look, here's the History Explorer. Where the hell is it?
The process, oh, no, not process. It's the View Explorer.
So here we go. Now we can see everything that we had done to this. Actually, what I want to do to make this easy to find.
Well, you can right click there.
Let's see here. You're saying I can right click here and the Explorer pops up?
Yeah, the bottom choice, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, so here you go. Everything happening here. But once you clone this, all that's gone. Right?
You can save it in a process container.
I suppose.
It won't be there.
But then you got to retie that to the right process. What if you have 15 clones happening?
It gets complicated.
Yeah, you know, I'm already taking enough ADD medicine as it is. This is why I love this hobby. But anyway, usually when I make a mistake like that, it happens early on and I don't care. I'm none the wiser, and I'm just so frustrated. This is the first time that happened so far along in the process that I had painstakingly, I mean, I took a lot of care for each step. I wanted to have a really good image.
Save the project along the way.
Yeah, you can do that. You can definitely do that. I have like 15 saved projects everywhere. And that's the thing. I wonder if I could set it up to save every so often. But the thing is, saving a project, takes 15 minutes. But yeah, there is a solution for everything. When you're in a hurry or when you don't have patience. Let's see here. Now, I know some of these star masks, they will change the actual picture that you're doing to remove the star mask. In that case, you would create a clone so you don't destroy the original data. Correct? Anyone?
Say that again.
When you apply the star net
Right?
Does it apply it to a like, how ABE makes a new, or DBE, whatever, makes a new window and it says DBE next to the frame, but your original picture is there. These,
It makes a new one, but it'll just do like the stars only. And then and if you want without the stars, you subtract the stars out of the original. But it will make a new instance, a new image.
because I thought what was happening before, maybe it was the previous console, that when I would take the stars out, it would do it right on that particular image. And the only way out would be to back out of it. So
No, it keeps, as far as I know, it keeps the original, it puts a new image up. That's just the stars.
So
Then I usually just go to pixel math. And what I found makes pixel math easier for me is over on the on the identifier.
yeah, 1, 2, 3.
I edit the identifier to say no stars and then stars only.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Because pixel math, it doesn't show you the file name, it just goes by the identifier.
Good luck. Yeah, you're right. And they're so long.
They're so long.
Yeah, and who's gonna? Every name is almost exactly the same except for like the last letter.
Yeah, so I edit the identifier.
Yeah, that comes in very
right
neat.
click on the tab and then just do a identifier, and then I just put in stars only or.
That is the first thing anyone should do or should learn how to do when learning PixInsight, is using that identifier. Number one, because I like to make a zillion different images. But number two, when you're adding, stuff, what happened here? Here we go. These are the stars it took out. I don't like that.
Yeah, with something that complicated,
You know what? We were already stretched. We weren't linear anymore.
yeah, well, it'll work on stretch, but I usually do it in the linear. I click the little checkbox linear data and do it on that. I find it works. That's typically how I do it. I think it's a little better.
Right.
Linear, but it doesn't need to be linear.
Right. Still, I don't see any, this star, they've come a long way from the original, this one, from the original star mask. Have you ever used this tool?
I haven't used it. I've done it once, but I almost, when I first got it, but then I saw that StarNet 2 has replaced it.
Yeah,
I went to that.
For the first 2 or 3 years I had PixInsight, that's all we had was the star mask. And it would take forever. And then you would never get it right the first time. You'd always have to come back and change these settings. And you don't know which way to make them. Up, down, it was so frustrating. They streamlined this so much. Right now, I'm actually watching Adam Block's new series on the WPP process. They've changed this a whole lot. If you've seen that or not.
I haven't seen that. No, I've been using the new one, but I haven't seen the.
Adam Block came out with a new series now that covers supposedly every change is made that he had made in this, or that they're making with this, so it's easier to follow. I love this, how they show you what's happening.
Oh yeah, I like that too.
In fact, you can go through the whole process again, but I'm not going to bother. This is a very powerful piece of software. And notice I added 0 darks. And is it really necessary? at minus 20 degrees C to add darks?
I mean, Joe, you said that you found the camera pretty, like, good enough that even without darks, it's still quite good. I've been shooting darks because it's kind of easy. I
Right.
just kind of leave the camera on, and then I just set up a process to just shoot darks. But I mean, even when I was driving home from Frank's, it was kind of silly. It got warm in the morning, and I had the refrigerator in the van. I stuck the camera in the refrigerator and just had the cable coming out and ran the darks as I was driving home. So by the time I got home, I had my dark.
You know, it's funny, I did that yesterday on my 6D.
Did you?
Yeah, 37 degrees. I had to change the temperature in the refrigerator, you know, so I could shoot my darks. For that shot I showed you tonight, you know, I mean, holy God, it's unbelievable. But, you know, I mean, occasionally I haven't taken darks with the 2600, and to tell you the truth, I don't see much of a difference, you know. I always take flats and bias, you know.
Right.
But I listen to these people online, and you know, there's a school of thought that you know you don't have to use darks with these cameras. You know
what I've noticed, Joe, especially with my old DSLR, it was so hard with the darks because even though you know the temperature, let's say you have 50 frames, you know, 25 of them are going to be at 20 degrees.
Right.
And then, you know, 15 of them will be at 19.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And even if you do have all the darks, then combining them is such a pain in the ass. And, you know, you can do it now.
Right.
But
well, a lot of the guys, you know, they would say take the darks in the middle of the night, you know, not at the end of the night. You know, the other night we were up at at Frank's. I mean, it was like 65 degrees when we got there. It was 37 degrees or 36 degrees when I left. I mean, there was almost a 30 degree. It was a 25, 30 degree temperature swing. I mean, when do you take your darks? It's just
in the refrigerator, in the laundry basket, in the oven,
right,
in the bread warmer.
Like, when did I take the shot again? Early in the night or late in the night? You know?
Well, it's why the software records the temperature.
Right.
You know,
so I figured I would take it at the coldest temperature that I experienced up there, and so you know I'm not over subtracting. You know, I might be under subtracting some shots, but I probably am not over subtracting shots. You know, because that's not good either. You know.
Yeah, well, you know that's the thing. The difference with that. Here's a question for you, Joe. Let's say I want to you shoot darks with this camera. I noticed that it's keeping the temperature between 1 degree. How different is it going to be if, you know, the darks there's some 21 degree darks and some 20 degree darks?
It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be a big deal at all.
I don't think you'd ever see it.
But the question that I would ask is, do you need to shoot at minus 20? Because I wonder if that's not overkill, you know, because you can't always achieve minus 20.
No, you can't. In the wintertime, though, you can't.
In the winter, you can, you know, but if you were going to keep a dark library, for instance.
You don't even know how long you want to keep them. I mean, there's always been the
that's
argument.
true. No, I'm just asking. I'm asking.
I have no problem.
Hypothetically.
Yeah, listen, I have no problem once a season, since it's so easy. Look, with this camera, you can take it off your telescope, put the cap on it, right? You know, set up SGP or whatever software you use,
right?
You know, and shoot 100 darks while you're sleeping. You know, one night you're going to do it at 15 degrees. I don't know, you know, the next night you do it at 10 degrees, and, you know, whatever you think you'll need per season. You know, I'm thinking this is my new approach. So I might start with, and then I'll test to see if it's even worth it. Because, you know, then it takes time to shoot, not to shoot the darks, but to, you know, you have the master dark, you got to incorporate them, and that adds an extra step.
Yeah.
Is it going to add?
The dark calibration's fast.
Is it going to add noise? Is it going to you know what I'm saying? Like my DSLR, it added noise when I Now this worked much better to subtract. Let me get rid of all this crap here. This worked much better to subtract the stars. I used StarNet. And then after this, what I would do is from here, I would just go to morphological transformation and set this to 3 iterations and see what that looks like.
We're
All right.
just reducing the stars.
Yeah. So we did here. Here's a before. And here's an after. Before and after. The thing is, it also, you see up in this area here, it's unique about M33 that we have all these little blue clusters. And this star removal tool kind of thinned out the blue clusters.
Yeah, I don't think I would use that on that Denson object. When I did like M31, I found it, I processed it straight without removing the stars just because it's just, there's a lot in there.
Yes,
There's
absolutely.
4 stars, and I don't care how good the tool is.
Right.
It's
I mean,
doing something to fill in that missing stuff when it takes the stars out.
Look what it's removing.
Yeah.
Look at this. That's H alpha data.
Yeah.
And look what it's replacing it with. You can actually see the actual the pixels, which is pretty amazing. I'm still floored by this technology. I don't know how many times I'm going to tell you that, probably 100 more before I die, but this technology is amazing. Is there any other specific thing that you wanted to show, somebody else wanted to show, or if you want me to show something, or vice versa, while we have PI up and the meeting going on?
No, not offhand. I mean, it's getting a little late, so
I'm not feeling so good either.
maybe we wrap it up or something.
All right,
I think that we covered a lot.
yes, we did. All right, we'll stop share.
And to get back to Steve, you had asked about, showing start to finish. I think that would be a good, I'm happy to do something like that with one of those shots or something like that.
That would be great. That'd really help me a lot because I have all the tools you guys are talking about, but you're kind of jumping into the middle of them. So I can't visualize.
Yeah. Well, Steve, you know what? We can do it this way, I think, if you guys agree. So a galaxy like this require, there's a lot of steps in processing a galaxy, a lot of data and all. It might be easier, the workflow for a planetary nebula, for example, is not as complicated. So we certainly could do galaxy. It'll take a long time, but maybe we start with something simpler. First, once or twice, you get the hang of things, and more people get the hang of it, and then we can move on.
Yeah, simple sounds good.
Because Andromeda is a great galaxy. First of all, because it's bright, but it's accessible with a short focal length. Most galaxies you need long focal lengths, which are inherently, they already have their problems. If you're just learning astrophotography and learning how to manage a long focal length, and then now you have to learn how to process that, you might just quit the hobby. There's a lot going on. But I mean, I don't know. They're just my thoughts. If anybody else has any, chime in their 2 cents.
Well, that sounds good to me. I don't know if anybody else is interested.
The only problem is there's no planetary nebula in the wintertime.
Well, you can do 57 or something.
If you got to find data for M57. if we can,
Well, I mean, it's getting low now, but it's earlier in the night. It's still high.
behind my trees. Somebody else got to get it. It's behind my trees.
Yeah, I have data. I have data from a little bit of data from Cherry Springs from Mark.
Yeah, I suppose I can, we can also look
I mean, if
around.
you want to look at that.
That's one. I mean, I could look around too and see if I can if I have the matching darks and lights and flats, because I'd want to show you, which camera do you have, Steve?
533 Pro.
Okay, perfect.
So you have the Zito OSI camera.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Actually, I have some. I have what do I have? So I have 12 5-minute subs. So I have an hour's worth of M57 from Frank's with the C9 1/4 and the focal reducer.
I hate to put you on the spot, Gary, but would you be willing to do that for the next tutorial, or are you? I don't know yet. Are you your schedule?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I don't even have it processed yet. I have the data there. I just have it calibrated. I have the linear stuff done, and that's
Steve,
it. I don't have any stretch on it.
Steve, if you don't show up, we're coming to find you.
Excellent. You got a long ways to go to get me though.
Where are you at?
Where I live, right?
No,
Massachusetts.
what you doing in What are you doing with us?
Ask Tom. He's my brother-in-law.
Oh, okay. Well, you have
I roped them in.
you have a pretty good teacher there out in Massachusetts, at the library there at Harvard, Nico Carver.
Oh, yeah.
He is
I've seen some of the
excellent.
YouTube stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of all the so of all the things on YouTube, people ask what I would recommend. There's a lot of people like, oh, there's the backyard guy from Canada. There's the other guy from Australia. There's a few people that I would suggest over others. Yeah, they're all have their own little caveats. And I don't want to disparage one guy over the next. But one thing about Nico, he goes into a lot of detail. He's got a lot of followers. And Nico is not in a hurry. Another guy that I highly recommend, who's very knowledgeable, extremely informative, Adam Block. And I want to mention this too. This is one thing you do want to watch. Adam Block now just started this summer with a new tutorial series on the script weighted batch pre-processing on PixInsight. Since PixInsight started as WPPP, it has undergone a lot of different changes through updates. And there has been a lot of additions, a lot of differences in it. He's starting from start to finish a whole new step-by-step, individual video series on this. It's a very powerful tool. I suggest on your free time, and you know what I like to do? His voice is soothing too. Before I go to bed, I just leave the TV on and, I kind of fall asleep to it.
Mm-hmm.
Once in a while, there'll be a point that I want to, I hear that I like, oh yeah, I want to know how to do that. I'll get up and I'll put the bookmark on the, YouTube. And then the next day I'll watch it or whatever. But Adam Block is definitely very, very technical and very to the point and specific to PixInsight.
Okay, good.
If you guys already know about him, if not.
I didn't know about him.
The other guys, like the backyard, what is the guy in Canada? He's Trevor.
Trevor.
Yeah, Trevor is very good. I mean, he's got a lot of people. He's expert with the ASI. He knows his stuff. But he's always going through new stuff. So you have to search through. He might actually have the gear you have. So that's one advantage with Trevor. The other guy who cracks me up more than anything else, but he's very informative over in Australia, Star Stuff, Dylan O'Donnell.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like watching him because
he's entertaining.
he's entertaining. He's a great musician as well. You know, so he puts all this. I like the fact that he jokes around. He wears a lab coat to do his show. He's just like right there, and his hairdo is always crazy.
Yeah,
He can be pretty sarcastic too.
Oh yeah, so you guys know that. Yeah. But for if you want detailed information, Adam Block is the guy to go to.
okay, good. Wrote it
And what-
down.
On the, Steve, on the M57, we were talking about the planetary nebula. I just looked at Cherry Springs because I thought I shot it there, and I shot it with the C6 with no focal reducer.
Oh, good.
You were asking about that in the email thread.
Yeah.
So I actually have an hour and looks like I have seven 10-minute subs. Yeah, I have 7 10-minute subs. So we could look at one or both of those. We can look at the stuff with the 9 1/4, or we can go back to the Cherry Springs to the deeper subs.
Sure, sounds good. Yeah,
Okay.
it's whatever everybody else wants too.
This is Gary. You're in charge next week. I mean, if you need help with the calendar, and I can do the calendar and that.
Okay.
Unless you want to do all that, it's up to you.
No, I don't, and I'm not sure, I'm not familiar with that stuff. I seem to have lost that. We used to have some editing privileges, like when I was setting up folders before and stuff, but all that stuff's gone away.
Really?
She said she doesn't remember changing anything, but somewhere it changed. Because
Oh,
I can't do anything anymore other than she set me up permission to make that one folder that shows on the opening screen because she wanted some images to scroll.
Yeah, I gave you guys like I didn't change anything unless they went in.
Something changed. It was about 6 months ago or 8 months ago. It just all went away. So I don't know if they did update or something or whatever.
All right, I'll go in. I'll make sure, especially if you're going to do something, I'll make sure that you have the privileges for that. And Tom, you're always posting stuff, and so are you, Joe. You guys should have. You're muted, Joe. You're muted. Did you say Joe's talking to himself?
Yeah, I have a couple of images I'd like to share. So it's been a little bit since I've done that.
You mean right now?
Oh no, I mean maybe online.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Do you have permissions to do whatever you need to do?
We had some issues the other couple weeks ago, but I think they were straightened out with permissions. But I think they were restored somehow.
Yeah, I don't even remember how to even do all that. Let me even get in there.
Yeah, I mean, there's no hurry. There's no hurry. We have till next month, but might be handy.
Yeah, I don't even remember how to. Jan sent me an email months and months ago. How the hell am I going to find that? Let's see, where is this? Control panel. People, do you know your way around this menu, Joe?
Not very well, to tell you.
Yeah,
Not very well, to tell you the truth.
Neither do I. I'm not sure how much help I'll be. We might need to get Jan back.
According to Jan, I think she had some of our privileges restored.
Well, she did it with that one folder so that we could put it on the main screen. But like I'm looking at in the document library with the challenges. When I first went in, I was able to set that up like for the early one. And I had a little menu on the upper right that, I'm pointing to my other computer here, sorry, but I had another little menu, like that's gone now.
Right.
So if you need to move a file or you need to do anything, there's no way to do it, at least for me now. Whereas in the past, I was able to do that, to do a little maintenance on those folders.
I want to get your permissions back.
Yeah, we don't need to do it now, because like I said, it's getting a little late, but it's something that I think we should look at what, where they went or how to restore them.
Right.
Can I share one thing with you guys right now?
Go right ahead.
See if I can do this. You can see that?
Oh, yeah.
That's live right now.
Oh, check it out. Really?
Yeah. That's Ganymede just coming off the limb. That's Europa on the right. That's Europa's shadow.
It seems not that bad.
No,
Wow.
it's a very good night. That's better than
Wow,
usual.
look at that.
I saw it was going to be, so I set the monster up.
Hold on, let me grab my
Yeah,
Missy.
the seeing is predicted to be very good tonight and tomorrow night.
Yeah, let me grab
it.
Even tomorrow night with the storm coming in.
Yeah, it's pretty damp out there though.
It is damp. It's dewy.
There's heavy dew right now, even like in my backyard. Because I was showing the the book club people a little bit ago, and I was
Could they see the shadow of Europa?
yeah, they did.
Yeah, that's always cool to show people.
They did.
Missy, come downstairs. You got to see this.
Europa was just off the limb, I think.
Probably, because it's been moving quite a bit.
Right. It was just off the limb, and that was
Ganymede
maybe
just came off over the last about 6 minutes. It's been slowly migrating off,
Coming
and now it's,
yeah, that was about 45 minutes ago.
yeah, Ganymede's shadow will come in about another hour.
Boy, that's really good seeing.
Yeah, that's better than. That's why I it was originally supposed to be not get good till after midnight, but then they slid it down to like 10
Right.
o'clock.
I've been doing Mars, but I haven't really gotten.
Wow, I mean, look at the separation. Dude, that is amazing.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's really good.
Hold on, my wife's coming. Don't take it that way. I want to show my wife. Wow.
That's about 2 arc seconds, 3 arc seconds. That's really
Yeah.
good.
Wow, look how it just cleared up really. Look at this.
Yeah, it comes and goes. It's just like what you can tell people about seeing, but when you see it like this, it's easy to explain because they can watch it. I go through an eyepiece. A lot of times they're not really sure till they see this, and you go, "Wow!" Because it gets fuzzy, then it gets sharper, then it gets fuzzy, and
Right.
that's why they call it lucky imaging.
I mean, look at this. This is
You got to be lucky.
Jupiter.
That's
And use it. 2 of the moons coming from Jupiter. I see that moon right there. It's casting a shadow here. And if you keep watching, you see it's flickering, but you can see the weather. And every once in a while, like for a split second, you'll get like perfectly clear image. Is the atmosphere so still? It's never this still. And look, you can see the separation between the moon here. See
Yeah, that seems pretty slow too.
Yeah, it's not high frequency.
Yeah, usually he's jumping over, but look at the weather. You see how the curves.
Tracy says hi, Ann.
Oh, hey, Trace.
Hey, Tracy.
I'm gonna slide that over a little bit.
Hi, I didn't see who was there. How are you?
So, Joe, this is where I have everything fed back into my sun porch,
Right.
This is Tom.
which is really convenient.
That's really great. That's
That's
really
great,
great.
Tom.
Yeah.
You know what we're expecting, Tom, over the next couple days.
Yeah,
Isn't that cool? Look at that. That is so cool.
yeah, it's a particularly good. I haven't seen it this good since September 16th. I know the date.
And too bad we can't see the red spot transiting.
No, it's not going to go around till like 3 in the morning. By that time, it'll be in my trees.
I'm not climbing up your trees.
Yeah, I kind of wish they'd have these. They'd get the shadow transits and the red spot kind of in sync for me.
Yeah,
All right. Good.
that's great though. What a treat. Thank you. That's like you're getting a little separation now with Ganymede.
Yeah, you can see Ganymede breaking off.
That's great.
Anyway, that's why it looks real time.
I can't believe my wife wasn't. She's like happy to wake up for this. It's like very rare. Very rare.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Wow, Tom, thanks for showing that.
I have a few
You
questions.
know what?
before-
I gotta send this video to Agapio, so he's gotta take a look.
I have
See,
a few questions.
What's that?
go ahead, Will.
Okay, a few weeks ago, I got my first cooled camera. So I have a 533 now. And just got my guide scope and my guide camera the other day. And from the start of this meeting, I've been imaging the Iris Nebula and watching it on another tablet.
Everybody's multitasking.
Right?
Yeah, so something you touched on earlier as far as temperature. I read in a couple places, like on cloudy nights and so on, that really you're not getting any benefit by cooling your camera lower than 0. So I'm asking you guys, based on your experience, is that the case? Because so far I've just had my camera set at 0 degrees centigrade.
I'm not sure. I haven't done the comparison. I tend to make it pretty much as cold as I can get it. So like if it's a cold night, like shooting at Frank's, I shot at -20. Because it's from a thermal noise standpoint, like from electronics theory, there is definitely a diminishing returns
Right.
because it's an exponential curve, but it is always lower until you get to absolute 0.
Yeah,
so,
I just
honestly. So
Yeah,
but from a practical standpoint, I think these cameras are so good that it probably doesn't make a whole lot of difference from a practical standpoint.
Hey, Bill,
Okay.
if you're like worried about if you're wearing a battery out, then it's probably not worth it to go.
I'm running on house current.
If you're on, then use it.
Okay, well, the next thing is in the guiding, because I did my my first guiding about 3 nights ago, and looking at the graph, it was practically flatlined out the gate. Normally, when I do my polar alignment, I'm usually within 1 to 3 arc seconds.
It's plenty close enough.
But I started dithering on the second night, and I noticed when you go to when you use dithering, I was doing it after every shot, and I'm doing 2 and 3 minute subs now.
Okay.
It rattles the cage on your graph. Okay, you get that spike,
Right.
and then it goes into a wait, and then it'll start guiding again.
Yeah.
I'm using an ASI Air Pro.
Okay.
But I've noticed that, like, last night in particular, my guiding was great. An hour later, all of a sudden, I'm getting all kinds of up and down spikes. And I was thinking, geez, it's overcorrecting. So I knocked the aggressiveness down. That seemed to help. And as the scope started pointing higher as far as its declination, I noticed the same thing, because you're getting towards the zenith and you're getting clearer skies. So I basically am just asking, like, is this stuff that I'm seeing, is this normal stuff that you guys go through? And let's say I want to set up a plan mode and just basically not have to babysit the scope all night.
Well,
What do you do about that? Now, even when it was spiking, my totals are maybe a hair above an arc second.
what is your RMS error?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Right now, it's at 0.70.
You're fine. But the thing is, when you're guiding, guiding is a whole different animal. The conditions change from one part of the sky to the next and as the weather moves to the night, they change.
Yeah.
The idea is you want to keep your RMS. If your RMS level is less than 1 arc second, I wouldn't be so concerned. 0.7 is good. Less than 0.7 is fantastic.
Well, I was getting 0.2 last night at some point during some.
I mean, now you're bragging. That's really good.
I'm asking because
Bill, what's your exposure? What's your exposure time?
On what? On the guide camera?
On the guide camera.
2 seconds.
Okay, that's reasonable.
Yeah, I wouldn't go lower than that.
No, if you have a particularly bad seeing night, even going up to 3 could help a little bit. But between 2 and I tend to stay between 2 and 3, and I tend to see between about a quarter arc second RMS, typically more like about 0.4, 0.5, up to about 0.7, 0.8.
Okay, but yeah, I was getting.
I don't even play with the settings. Like I haven't really noticed any problems with any of those RMS readings throughout the night.
Well, I was seeing spikes where all of a sudden through one exposure it was spiking up to about 3.
Well, I mean, is that from the dithering?
I don't know whether it's because of the seeing conditions, whether I'm chasing seeing, but I also was able to knock it down more by reducing the gain on the camera.
Yeah, it might be. It could be from like scintillation from the stars. So it could be chasing scintillation, something like that, with moisture in the atmosphere. You know, depending on the seeing conditions, depending on the transparency.
Okay, well, what I was really getting at is looking at, let's say, this particular run will give me about 15 hours of data to, combine into what I've done with the iris in the past couple of days. Throughout the night, well, I'm used to doing real short exposures and tons of subs with a non-cooled camera.
Right.
So basically what I'm getting at is throughout the night, if it has these fluctuations, be it seeing, be it whatever, does it just average out?
Wait, slow down. How long are you exposing your light frame?
My lights on this particular target, I'm doing 2 minutes on the subs.
2-minute subs. And all right, what I would probably try to do, and then especially if you have a good seeing, is maybe increase that, rather than going the other way. You follow? I mean, what do you think, Gary?
I mean, it just really depends on the how dark your sky is. I tend to stick to shorter subs. I tend to do like 2 minutes when I'm at home because my skies aren't as good as Frank's. Frank's I'll do 3 or 5. Cherry Springs I do 10.
I'm about Bortle 7 here in Willow Grove.
Well, then 2 is probably appropriate.
I'd probably do 2.
Okay, so now when I go to the next target's going to be M81, and then I'm going to let the camera run until about 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to go with 3-minute subs on that one, simply because there's not a real bright.
Well, hold on a minute. The moon is out.
Yeah, I know.
81's pretty low in the sky right
now. The moon is way past it at that point.
Yeah, it's still a lot of light in the sky. That's one thing you want to consider, because the moon, that's going to add light pollution.
Yeah, but M81 is low, right? Well, I guess that at that hour, if you're doing it in the wee hours, it'll be higher.
Yeah,
but I mean,
probably
there's some majors at the bottom right now.
Yeah, this thing is going to finish up in about another half hour or so, and I can take a breather or do whatever I feel like doing. But M81, I'm going to target in on a little later on because the moon's going to be, a little further away as it comes up higher.
One thing with the moon, though, I would use shorter exposure when the moon's out. If the moon wasn't, for the same reason you use short exposures in high light polluted areas. Okay. I wouldn't increase it to 3 minutes.
Yeah, nights that the moon is out, I try to shoot towards the north or northeast. I have
right away. Right.
My arc of vision goes from, let's say, about 320 degrees all the way around to about 225 on a compass.
Right.
Western sky, I've got my trees in the way, and there's no way you're going to punch through any of those. But I try to keep away from the moon, when we've got a good night. So last night and the night before were both good nights. I've left the scope set up.
You got to show us some of these pictures, man. Process this stuff.
Well, I don't have anything processed yet because what I was doing is I was bouncing around between different software. I bought was it Star Tools, about a year. I only got my first camera a little over a year ago. Okay, so I'm brand new in this thing. And I was doing EAA with that. And of course, you jump into the processing and so on. So that's why I'm trying to learn PixInsight, which I bought a couple months ago. But real life stuff has gotten in the way, so I haven't had much time lately.
Well, if you're in PixInsight, come to the next one, next meeting where Gary's gonna show us the workflow for.
Yeah, I can do some basic things in it, but that's pretty much as far as I've got.
Yeah, I'm still early with it too, so I'm not sure how the
You're
quality
way
of
ahead. You're
of
miles
what I'm
ahead
going
of
to
me.
present, but like
Yeah, well,
compared to, I don't mean quality, but just in terms of the, the variation in techniques, but I'll show you what I'm doing.
Yeah, see, to give you a little better or clearer understanding, I've been doing this all on my own. And I mean, I started in the hobby 40 years ago, but took a breather from it because my business just got so demanding. I didn't have time for it for a while. So it was like vacation time is when I would get, drag the scope out. But now that I'm retired, I've got time. And the first thing I did was I jumped back into it and I rejoined the club because I was a member years ago.
If you could do this when there was film, then you can do it now better than me for
Yeah, I
sure.
was doing it when there was film. And
I mean, that's talk about patience.
Yeah. Well, basically, I want you guys to know, I'm really at a beginner level on this, and I'm doing a lot of YouTube videos. I've been doing a ton of reading, but unless you have somebody to work with and hands-on, it's very easy to get sidetracked or go in the wrong direction because you have nothing to compare to. I'm basically swimming in uncharted waters right now.
Well, you have all of us.
Well, I'm hoping. And the other thing is too, be it winter, summer, fall, or whatever, I'm willing to go up to the dark sky site anytime. As long as I can plan on it ahead of time.
I mean, you let me know. I have a backyard here with electricity, or across the street, there's much better horizons, but no electricity and horse poop. But it's portal 5, and there is a patch of sky like above my head in a figure 8 that is really dark. Now there's light. I don't like to shoot below 30 degrees.
That's the way I am too. Because
of all the muck where I'm at. But there's a patch of sky like a figure 8 above my house almost. Where in September, the Milky Way, like it pops, I mean, the last time we were at Green Lane Park, I mean, I'm 400 yards away from Green Lane Park. We were seeing the Milky Way naked eye. So that's a great site if you want a dark site that, if you have remote power. But
yeah, it's nothing for me to put my generator in the truck.
Right,
and it's a camping generator. It's very, very quiet.
Right. Now, I mean, if you need assistance and, I don't know your gear, but I'm sure, I'm happy to help. My backyard's available. The only problem is neighbors don't, if you shoot specific objects, you'd be fine. If you want something that's behind somebody's house, the neighbors usually don't, by 11 o'clock, all the lights are off. Where it gets really, really dark. But, again, you have houses in the way. But I think we've been on a little, pretty long tonight. It's 10:30 already. Does anybody have any final questions? I don't know when I'm going to post this. I think I need to go back and bleep myself a couple times. Oops. So no.
It's good seeing everybody.
Yeah, great seeing everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks very much.
All right.
Take care.
All right. We'll keep in touch about next month.
Have a great
All
night.
right.